We don't even know if I'll fully get through the rest of it today. She might do something or say something extremely fucking retarded that makes me fucking have to rage quit out of annoyance, simply because I don't have the headspace to deal with belligerence and racism. This is check links. Check. Links, check. S is an abused humor, and N is his abused teen ward. We're starting right back at the top of the tip.
Following him to the dock, we are introduced to Iris, who, if you watch the anime, you'll remember as Ash's companion in the Unova series that the fanbase absolutely hated. Why'd they hate her, Lily? You fucking know why. You know how weebs work at this point.
Weebs. Weebs that will cosplay anything and everything. Weebs. Weebs that can identify with people because they aren't the same race as weebs. Weebs hate black people. Most weebs are black people. Most weebs are black people in the so serious sense that yesterday, or rather, not even yesterday, I forget exactly what day it was, but a few days ago, I had looked back into the idol group Sorbet that had to close because they were being harassed by Hassan Piker. Weebs are not the people that you would offend with that desire. Blueberry train. Weebs are not the ones that do shit like try to deplatform them. That is not what weebs fucking do. She was annoying. Bring this up for a second. Weebs aren't the ones that do shit like this. People like Hassan Piker do. And granted, while this particular idol was able to continue forward with her desires and dreams, separate from her group, weebs are the ones that are doing the dances with her. Put this over here into this full cap. Because it looks to me, that's two niggas. That's two whole niggas. These girls right here, white women like this, black women like this, these are the people that motherfuckers like this Lily bullied in high school for both Naruto running and also fan dancing. You dare to hate people for being fucking different and then think that you are not the person responsible for that happening. It's so fucking bizarre to me. It's so fucking bizarre to me. To say that it beggars belief in words does not truly get across how fucking belligerently stupid people like Lily are. Of course, it's not about being right. It's not about telling the truth. It's about saying shit to annoy and antagonize people. And you can't even get the people that you hate right because you don't know anything about them.
It turns out Bianca has had her Muna stolen by Team Plasma, and so me and Burr are going to go get Muna back while Iris guards Bianca. I follow Burr to the building that Plasma is holding up in, and one of them decides that because I look weak, he'll take me while the other two take the gym leader. Unfortunately for him, we are evil people, and so my Petalil makes mulch out of his dirt lizards. Then they retreat back in and we follow after them. Iris and Bianca join us this time, Bianca apparently having been trained in those 5 minutes, but whatever, it's fine. But inside is Getsis. He waxes poetic about Zekrom, believing that if he had a dragon, then people would listen to him because he'd won their hearts and minds, and not because the dragon would eat them if they didn't. It's definitely not because the dragon would eat them. But then Burr talks about how everyone has different opinions. Oh my fucking god. I feel like I'm listening to the startup of a YouTube video made by a condescending douchebag. Then Getsis gives Muna back to Bianca and leaves.
We're listening to a video made by a condescending douchebag. Excuse me, douchebagess. Because gender's gonna change how I feel about you.
With that sorted, I head to the gym to take on Burr. The battle was not very interesting, just tranquil spamming Gust over and over again. As soon as I step on Route 4, Bianca wants a battle that is tediously long and knocks out a few of my Pokemon, necessitating I go back to heal them again. Then Charon wants a battle immediately after that, which goes the same way. I win, but I still have to backtrack. Well, that's good, right, Lily? The battles are hard. Oh, no, that's the thing. They aren't. See, so far, the enemy AI has been completely brain dead. It usually spams the same 2 moves over and over again, more so than I've seen in any Pokemon game so far. But for whatever reason, the damage values are weirdly scaled up. So I just take lethal damage from a bite that ordinarily wouldn't have killed me, all the while it seems to be taking an inordinate amount of time to actually defeat an opponent. And ordinarily that wouldn't bother me, but your rivals challenge you so many times. Just for comparison, Gen 1 had 8 rival battles, one of them was optional and one of them was the champion battle anyway. Generation 2 had 6, Gen 3 had 5 and 2 of them were optional, and Gen 4 had 5 as well. But Generation 5 gives you 3 rivals in this game, Bianca, Charon, and N. And between them, you have a total of 17 rival battles.
I don't like content. Look at the amount of content I had in the past. I only had to do a fight 5 to 8 times, and 1 was optional except inside of Gen 2. But now that I have more characters, I don't like that more characters means more opportunities, along with more story. Wah!
That's already excessive, but even more so than the fact that you are constantly running into them every single route and city. You are never once given a break from these kids. This is the
Build a better team.
running problem with Pokemon games from this point onward, that the companions never leave you alone for even a moment. They won't let you breathe. You can't fucking move without being constantly harassed by the sheer glut of additional characters imposing on you every chance they fucking get. I like Blue and Brendan, but part of why I like them is that every time you meet them, enough time has passed for them to have gone through some growth. The games don't spam you with text from them every 2 seconds, you just kind of stumble into each other as you're both doing your own thing. Running into them on every route would have been much worse. But from Gen 4 onward, these games can't let you have one route without being harassed constantly. Some of these characters go through something close to an arc, but the fact that they're constantly tugging on my sleeve and bothering me means I resent their very existence, because it always feels like Game Freak resents my very existence and my desire to
Here's an idea, Lily. Why don't you mod it out of the game like you did all the other things that you didn't like?
explore and play the game at my own pace. It reaches the point where I don't want to step into a new area because I'm afraid that I'll be interrupted by another character, especially when the battles are so tedious and boring, yet still demand that I run back to the Pokemon Center. Worse even, I've had to run back after every single battle so far because they keep knocking out my fucking Curlia. When we reach Nimbasa City, my first goal is to head to the surrounding— oh hey, Bianca's in front of the music studio. I'll check that out in a bit. Anyway, my first goal is to head to the surrounding routes looking for new Pokemon because the Pokemon I have aren't very good. Now, the game let me onto Route 16 just fine, but when I tried to step onto Route 5, Bianca chases me down and drags me by the neck back to the music studio. What the fuck? I could see her there. I would have gone to check on my own. Will you stop hovering over me, Game Freak? Look, the music studio is an interesting little distraction. I'm glad you've got it. It's fun to put G in a top hat, a bow tie, and a cane. Just stop forcing this shit on me. I don't know why you press the issue so fucking much. You can't just let me find a cool thing on my own. You're constantly harassing me. Oh, and if you thought that was the worst of it, no. My recording of Nimbasa City is 90 minutes long, and you only have 2 major fights in this city. And those of you who...
Maybe if you use more than the same 6 Pokemon, including Ralls. And why don't you just mod it out of the game?
who have played know exactly where we're about to go. So you walk into the amusement park and N drags you by the neck to a Ferris wheel and makes you ride it with him before Team Plasma shows up and he battles you to hold you off while they escape. Now, if you lose to N, you have to go through the entire Ferris wheel bit over and over again. And you will lose because all of his Pokemon crit like a fucking bitch. Every Pokemon in Gen 5 is either packing high crit moves like Air Cutter or the ability Super Luck, which boosts crit ratio, which means you are going to be one-shot over and over and over and over and over again, and every single fucking time you have to watch that whole fucking cutscene again. You know what this reminds me of? The original Kingdom Hearts. When it first came out, you couldn't skip cutscenes, and some of the bosses in this game are stupidly difficult, especially for kids, which meant the fall-
No, the fuck they're not. This game is mash X to fucking win, you actual fucking loser. I can see that on the fucking bar of this Sora, he's under level 50. Why do you insist on trying to bring up the literal baby's first JRPG and then show me footage that demonstrates that you're just bad in general? And worse off, this isn't the original. This is you playing on PC. This is not the original release of PS2's Kingdom Hearts, where that would have been a legitimate argument. No, this is Kingdom Hearts 2, like 1.5 and 2.5, where triangle commands have been implemented. So you have the ability to chain into windows and commands for your actions better than most characters ever would have been able to. Garbage. Also, yes, you're exactly right, Galaxy. You spam Calm Mind and win. It's so easy. It's so broken. So giga-juiced. Oh, but I guess the crutch isn't actually enabled yet because the Rawls hasn't transformed into Guadavire yet.
Following lines are burned into my generation's brain.
Clayton?
Not Clayton. Not Clayton.
This is it. This power. Darkness. The true darkness! Sora! Forget it. There's no way you're taking Harry's heart.
Boy, do you realize that people have these memories? Do you realize they have these things ingrained into their memory? Not because they were constantly failing the fights, but because they were actively winning and enjoyed the memetics. No, not possible for you.
Come this far, and still you understand nothing. Every light must fade. Every heart return to darkness.
You know, I was saving it for later, but fuck N. Honestly, fuck N. All this little prick does whenever he shows up is rant about how he's going to make everyone conform to his opinion or else. He's like a fucking debate bro drooling out of his fucking mouth. Well, he gives the most moronic take you've ever heard in your life.
You guys ready for the mildest hot take in the universe? Okay. Super idpol, like lefty black women.
That gets a line on its own.
Love
Every time he shows up, I just want to hit this fucking kid with a rock.
love
That was an actual voice clip from an actual fascist scumbag, and you do not want to hear the rest of it. The dude's a grade 8 racist psychopath. I mean, true, but you do realize that that's not funny as a clip. And they're still antagonizing a character for reasons that have less to do with the game is badly and poorly balanced and more to do with you don't know how to build a team. And you're mad that you're getting dog washed because you can't build a team.
Every time he shows up, I just want to hit this fucking kid with a rock. He says the same goddamn thing every time. I am in the right, and my opinion is the correct one. That's what everyone thinks, you fucking dickhead. You're literally a straw man that fandom makes of critics when they're too dumb to contend with them. What the fuck are you even supposed— Oh, wait a fucking minute. Hang on. Did Game Freak start seething over PETA? That's fucking it, isn't it? PETA said something stupid about Pokemon and Junichi Masuda just couldn't let it go. God fucking damn it. I step on Route 5 and immediately—
Evidence? None? Okay.
Immediately, Charon follows me, demanding a battle. Dude, leave me alone. You never win these things. Stop stalking me. After that, we get into a double battle with a couple of preschoolers, and the champion gives us a lecture about how everyone has different perspectives because every character in this fucking game has the same philosophy. Aren't opinions great? Isn't it great to have opinions? Isn't it great that we can all have different opinions?
Just yep. I don't like the game wants me to think. Yep. Meow. Hiss. Meow.
This is one of those baseline concepts that's so universal that it's really weird when you keep banging on about it. Making it to Driftvale City and Clay.
Irony. Also, people aren't allowed to have opinions with the Lily Orchard. Lily Orchard's opinion is the correct opinion, and if you disagree with them, no, you're wrong. Isn't it crazy that other people are allowed to have opinions and you just can't force them into being fans of your content?
The gym leader complains about how Team Plasma was able to escape when we lowered the bridge and tasks us with catching them again to test us. And Clay is such a fucking cowboy, I'm not sure if he's a traditionalist conservative or his husband just really likes the saddle. Anyway, we rush down into cold storage and navigate the workers complaining about how cold it is. They're wearing full winter gear while I'm wearing a t-shirt, vest, and booty shorts. What is it with girls in these games being impervious to the cold? I find Plasma in a shipping container guarding what—
It's a kid-adjacent franchise. Don't question fucking fashion, bitch.
and navigate the workers complaining about how cold it is. They're wearing full winter gear while I'm wearing a t-shirt.
She is serving, and you're mad that she has fashion.
Vest and booty shorts. What is it with girls in these games being impervious to the cold? I find Plasma in a shipping container guarding one of the sages. Once we defeat enough of them, Clay comes back in to arrest them all with shipping workers. Okay, this proves to me that Clay is definitely gay. There are no cops in Driftvale. But later when I show up at the gym, Getsus waxes poetic with Clay before taking the sage and Plasma members and leaves. Okay, question. Why do we keep letting them go? That's 2 gym leaders now that have just let Getsus walk away. Anyway, I head into the gym, which is deep in a quarry, where Clay challenges me with ground types. Unfortunately, G is now tricked out with Reflect, Calm Mind, and Magical Leaf, which means my early troubles are long gone as Crocodile and Palpito.
Here we go. Now that I have transformed and evolved into a twink queen, now my strategy is impenetrable. Yeah, Boy MC doesn't wear full cool either. But the problem is, Lily Orchard wants to harp about the girl shit as a bit.
Fall like dominoes. It takes a little more setup with extra drill though, and as usual, Reflex came in handy, and I eventually won the stalling war. On my way out to Route 6, I get stopped by Bianca, who gets distracted and asking for a battle by a shiny object. But I'm also a trainer. At times like this, you battle, right? Why are you asking me? You've been doing this for as long as I have. We've both been trainers for 11 hours. I don't have some secret here, but she just gives me the HM for Fly, which is great for when I need to run back to Driftvale for more Moo Moo Milk. When I reach Chargestone Cave, Play unblocks the web. You know, I have the HM for Cut. I could have done this myself, you know. But then I get inside and I see N in the distance. Oh, fucking great. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna catch a Pokemon for a Clink! Oh, I love him. Okay, Gen 5's Pokemon are kind of hit and miss. Like, one problem is that Game Freak decided this time around that no old Pokemon...
I did not edit that. As you can clearly see, that is part of the video. Let's look at that cut again. Let's look at how quickly they get distracted. Oh, Carl, what if that was the segue? Nah. I still wouldn't appreciate it. It's not a segue because now they're just molding about the Pokemon of Gen 5.
To Driftvale for more Moo Moo Milk. When I reach Chargestone Cave, Play unblocks the web. You know, I have the HM for Cut. I could have done this myself, you know. But then I get inside and I see N in the distance. Oh, fucking great. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna catch a Pokemon for a Clink! Oh, I love him. Okay, Gen 5's Pokemon are kind of hit and miss. Like, one problem is that Game Freak decided this time around that no old Pokemon were going to be returning. You couldn't use old Pokemon until the post-game. You had to use all new ones, which is a respectable design philosophy that I took as only being a suggestion. But it reveals a crack in Game Freak's were going to be returning. You couldn't use old Pokemon until the post-game. You had to use all new ones, which is a respectable design philosophy that I took as only being...
Literally showing off that you are cheating. This already invalidates your opinion to begin with. But we're going to simply put a pin in it and move forward. Because we have more to do and more to talk about. Loves the design choice who use only new Pokédex entries. Still hacking Rawls into the game.
A suggestion, but it reveals a crack in Game Freak's design of Pokemon. Game Freak tends to rely on older Pokemon to fill in the gaps in the decks. This is why Johto only had 100 new Pokemon, Hoenn had 135, and Sinnoh had 107. But Unova has 156, more than any gen after Gen 1 is introduced, and part of that is that they had to take niches that were filled by other Pokemon and remake them, so you'll see a lot of familiar faces. But it does brush up against a creeping design issue. Namely, modern Pokemon are over-designed. Because the Game Boy could only render so much, Gen 1 Pokemon tend to...
Modern Pokemon are over-designed. You are literally comparing pixel art inspiration to modern era art pixelation. And it's not gonna match up because they were inspired by different shit. Gen 1 was inspired directly by shit that they took from Dragon Quest. And all of the designs that come after Gen 1 are them interpolating on those designs. So you're basically complaining that they aren't allowed to have the ability to do that. That's so fucking garbage. So fucking garbage. It is so fucking garbage. So garbage. So garbage. So garbage. So garbage. So garbage. So garbage. What a garbage opinion. What a garbage opinion from a garbage person whose garbage opinion should not be listened to. Garbage. Garbage, 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 garbage.
To be very simple in design, and this makes them extremely appealing. Most of them are just a thing with a face, but modern Pokemon have a tendency to be over-designed and filled with extraneous detail. For example, Geodude is perfect simplicity in design. He's a rock with fists and a face. This means he's quite expressive when he wants to be, and there's the fun of just a rock with fists. That is a boy with a lot of personality who is always ready to fight. By contrast, Roggenrola, I don't even know what face he's making. This is a combination.
I had to hear it, you're gonna hear it again.
Fists. That is a boy with a lot of personality who is always ready to fight.
That's not funny. That's really weird. Children's game.
Contrast, Roggenrola, I don't even know what face he's making. Yes.
Rock'n'Rolla, I don't think has many scenes in any Pokemon with screen time of them having a personality and interacting with trainers. Whereas some of the Pokemon of the original anime more than likely were designed in such a way to be animated with a Japanese release that they could have the expressions that they had. And then the American project with their dub took suit. If I had a flagship character like Jack Frost of SMT, and I did not specifically get a base Jack Frost, I tried to go toward Dark Frost, or a Frost Ace, which is a Jack Frost that wears the Monica of Strange Journey. I have failed at my job. Now, Hora just said what I was about to say, which is that Gen 5 was an attempt at what could be called a soft reboot, where they were designing things to create for a new environment. But the honest fact of the matter is, even if every single Pokemon was a featured character in the animes, and therefore you got to see how a Rock'n'Rolla displayed its personality, because you don't like the fact that it doesn't have a face, that is not really a great criticism. It is a criticism, and it's a personal opinion you can have for yourself, but that doesn't apply across the entire fucking roster. It possibly can't. Calling them hit and miss is a way to cover your ass. To claim, well, it's just my opinion, man. And yet, you like the idea of the concept, but you will not play with those characters. You will cheat the system and the game to bring in old Pokemon, because your viewpoint is anything that stops me from doing what I want is wrong, even if it was designed such. No, I want to use the old broken stuff. Bring back my legacy items. Bring back my legacy characters. I don't feel comfortable if I can't play the same build 50 billion times a year with absolutely no change and deviation in it. And unfortunately, the comparison between that and Path of Exile doesn't technically work, because you can play the same build every single season. But that doesn't mean you start with the same economy in a fresh challenge league. And yet in a fresh economy, in a fresh new world, and a whole new world to live in, you won't use the fucking monster. You gotta cheat the game and bring on rolls too, and you're still bitching about the game and its story.
This is a common issue with Gen 5. Personality is lost in the extraneous detail. This isn't always the case, though. Sometimes the Gen 5 Pokemon get it completely right, and I think the place where they do best is with Trubbish. Trubbish is perfect simplicity in design. He's just a trash man with a face and some
she loves Trubbish.
Use of it. Garbage leaking out serves as his arms. The part where the bag is tied off makes these little ears, and he's got these little feet. This is a Pokemon a child could easily draw. Plus, look at his face. He is such a goofy little boy. He's perfect. I love him. I feel like this is completely superior to Grimer in every way, who, being a pile of sludge, lacked a lot of charm, and really he should have been sillier. And this is the case with every gen, but because Gen 5 was setting out to make new versions of older Pokemon that had dedicated fan bases, the parts where they miss stand out a lot more. Trubbish, Clink, and Dwebble look really, really good, but Roggenrola, Timber, and Woobat do not. So after I'm done gushing over a bag of garbage, 2 ninjas materialize around me and escort me 5 blocks north to N. Guys, I can walk. N tells me that Team Plasma will be waiting for me ahead and I have to go through Chargestone Cave to find them. The moment I take a few steps forward, Bianca shows up to tell me the floating stones move when I touch them. I feel like I would have figured that out on my own. I mean, the natural inclination in this game is to interact with things, but Game Freak just can't stop being a hovering mother. As I adventure through, I come across a bridge and the Shadow Triad. And this is the case with every gen, but because Gen 5 was setting out to make new versions of older Pokemon that had dedicated fan bases, the parts where they miss stand out.
Moving on. I hate Banana Gas niggas.
Out a lot more. Trubbish, Clink, and Dwebble look really, really good, but Roggenrola, Timber, and Woobat do not. So after I'm done gushing over a bag of garbage, 2 ninjas materialize around me and escort me 5 blocks north to N. Guys, I can walk. N tells me that Team Plasma will be waiting for me ahead and I have to go through Chargestone Cave to find them. The moment I take a few steps forward, Bianca shows up to tell me the floating stones move when I touch them. I feel like I would have figured that out on my own. I mean, the natural inclination in this game is to interact with things, but Game Freak just can't stop being a hovering mother. As I adventure through, I come across a bridge and the Shadow Triad forcibly escort me across. Okay, look, Pokemon's handholding is fucking ridiculous, and in later gens gets more insistent, but I think this part right here is without a doubt the worst. Game Freak thinks so little of the player that they don't trust them to navigate a straight line. There's no excuse for that.
It's called a quest flag. From simplicity of the cave, it looks like the cave is designed to be a straight fucking shot through. Even there with a Pokeball, which I assume has to have an object inside of it for you to interact with. It's a kid's game. It's a kid's game, Lily. You're an adult complaining about a kid's design in a kid's game. This is like if I decide to start bitching and molding and crying about Paw Patrol. Professionally.
At the end of the cave, I run into N again, who rants about how he'll separate the shades of gray into black and white. Dude, you're not even a character at this point. If you got any more one-dimensional, you'd be a dot. He then asks me if I have a dream of my own, to which I say, nah. And he says someone without a dream will never understand him. Oh, I understand you all right. I don't think you understand yourself. Oh yeah, in case you were wondering if N being a Pokemon trainer makes him a hypocrite, every time you fight him, he has a different set of Pokemon, implying he's released them. And in the sequels, you can actually find and catch his Pokemon in the wild, so he's not a hypocrite, he's just sincerely brain dead. N waxes poetic some more about ideals before Bianca shows up with Juniper. Your opinion is understandable. It happens to be different from mine. Oh my god, please somebody say a line that actually has some meaning to it. You know, I wouldn't be this bothered if it weren't for the fact that the fandom's been spending the last few years absolutely gassing up this fucking game like it's the holy grail of Pokemon stories.
fucking stupid. She's fucking stupid. Multiple opportunities for a ding. There's the title. Maybe the problem there is that you're not understanding it, Lily.
And I get it. For a lot of people, this game came out when they were 9, and it was the first story that talked about something like belief, but holy shit does this not hold up. At Mistralton City, I immediately run into Jupiter's father, who upgrades the firmware of my Pokedex. I hear Apple was planning to do something like this before they just decided to take your entire phone hostage until you install their software. After that, the gym leader says I can challenge her, but first she has to go up to Celestic Tower to help a sick Pokemon, and none too subtly suggest that I should come along. So I follow after her, but when I get to the top, the sick Pokemon's already gone, and she makes me ring a bell. Did I come up here just to ring a bell? Anyway, going back to the gym, and this gym is unique because you get to shoot yourself out of cannons. Wee! 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 Fuck! The gym leader was nothing special. I was in this loop of almost one-shotting the enemy healing, and then almost one-shotting them again. After that, I step outside. Oh god, no. N was waiting outside to start talking about how Pokemon battles are inherently unethical. Dude, are you stalking me? Have you clued into the fact that I'm the only one who can't verbally respond, so you seek me out to rant? He decides that he wants to talk to G and oh, you stay the fuck away from my Gardevoir, you sweaty debate bro ass looking motherfucker. This guy, who hates humans, lives all his life around Pokemon, talks about the erasure of humanity like it's a good thing, wants to talk to this Pokemon in particular. I've had to Google Gardevoir like 17 times making this video. I know exactly what you're up to.
Stay back! I've got Kiwi! Run, Joey, run!
He then continues to rant about how having a dragon will make everyone agree with him and fucks off. Guy's a broken record, I fucking swear. Have you tried knitting? It's very soothing. Making it to Isira City,
Notice how you had an encounter with N that didn't require you to battle him twice! And you're molding and making jokes, thus missing and demonstrating that you truly do not actually log true complaints with the problem. You just get mad that you can't fucking do what you want to do.
made a beeline straight for the gym. It's another sliding ice puzzle like Sinnoh and Johto had, but it really evolves the concept with a rotating block that helps you navigate. Good puzzle. Gym battle was nothing special, just calm-minded psychic. Upon making it outside, Charon asked me if something has changed, if he's become stronger, or if only his Pokemon have. I don't know anymore. Dude, will you calm down? You're really overthinking this. You think I'm out here with a guiding philosophy of strength? No, I'm just on a road trip with my angry celery friend. Maybe if you relaxed and enjoyed the trip, you'd be a lot more emotionally fulfilled, and maybe it'd stop bothering me. Then the gym leader comes out and spots the Shadow Triad, who tells me to go meet N at Dragon Spiral Tower, a trip that everyone decides to go on as well. Oh, there's gonna be dialogue spam there, I just know it. Arriving at Dragon Spiral Tower... Is something going wild at the top of the tower? Weird, that almost sounded like dialogue instead of narration, but there's nobody... Wait. No. No, she... Did the player character... speak? Holy shit! I made my way through the ocean of plasma fights, and one problem I'm having is that because the fight with N on the Ferris wheel was so difficult and took so many attempts, G ended up advancing 7 levels on that fight alone, which means she's now completely overleveled for the rest of the entire game. I'm almost 10...
Meaning that they were underleveled at an encounter that you should have been properly prepared for? Oh man, that would sure suck if it was a part of an entire debate argument about how the game was bad. Oh man. That'd be really shit.
Levels above most of Team Plasma at this point. I make it past them and oh my god, she spoke again. That's really cool. The player never speaks in these games. That's so cool. Anyway, I make it to the top and N has managed to summon Deathwing the Destroyer and insists that with his help, he'll defeat the champion and Pokemon will be separated from their trainers. Somehow. He talks about not achieving this by force, but instead persuasion, but I don't know how he intends to do that. People aren't going to think you're right because you shut up with a dragon. That's a classic argument from authority. He then insists that if I want to stop him, I'll have to get the other dragon to do battle with him. And I don't need the other dragon. I could kick your ass right here, dickweed. But he runs away and the rest of the Scooby gang meet me at the bottom and insist I should go to Relic Castle to find the stone to summon Reshiram. Guys, I don't need Reshiram. Let's just go curb stomp this bitch already. Or we could just not and let him completely fail to change people's minds. Like, this place was built off of America. You can't get Americans to admit there's an impending climate crisis while half their states are on fire, let alone give up their pets. So I make it to Relic Castle, where...
Antagonism.
Where Charon runs up and tells me that it's Relic Castle. Thanks, Charon, you're very helpful. At the bottom we find Getsus, who announces that the Lightstone isn't here, and then offers me congratulations for being chosen by the king. Chosen to kick his ass, maybe. He says if I fail, Team Plasma will steal Pokemon from people and release them. Then Alder asks if the Pokemon really want that. Hey, what's this? You're actually engaging with the conversation. What happened to the last 12 cutscenes where you waxed poetic about opinions and did nothing else? That actually raises an interesting notion. If they steal Pokemon from people and release them, what's stopping the Pokemon from just going back? The reason why this is such a false lead is because Pokemon is pretty much always reinforced that Pokemon like their trainers and their relationship is consensual. Oh, that almost stepped into bad territory. Their relationship is symbiotic. Pokemon...
Can Pokemon consent to being owned? Okay. Mwah. Where the fuck's the knob? Man, the camera's too high. Yes, be your best. Okay. Can Pokemon consent? They are living, sentient creatures, some of which have the ability to control nature, and many, which are legendaries, have the ability to control the elements and concepts and aspects of reality, including time, space, negative dimension, up to and including what effectively is God. Can a sentient animal consent to ownership? Yes, they can. Why? Because in multiple situations, despite there being multiple random types of Pokemon that exist in herds and packs, all of the Pokemon that have ever been inside the Pokemon series as on-screen Pokemon literally have the ability to get up and leave their Pokeball if they wish, as many have chosen to do, not just on occasion, but sometimes as a plot point. Some Pokemon, such as Brock's Krogunk, his female Krogunk, is even willing to stay with the owner after delivering corrective measures to the trainer, such as Krogunk poison stabbing Brock every time he acts like a sexual lech, and then continuing to be in his presence and be owned by him. This is no different than a dog wanting to sit around a mother who's still with child and then fiercely defending that dog. Its puppies. The mother, the father, the children, as pair-bonded animals are wont to do. It's been a staple of Pokemon since Johto and Kanto, which very much had most episodes lean in on plots that had to do with the character that was responsible for saving the day. So without even having to pull on red or blue or gold or silver, as well as the stories not just of the titular manga characters, but also of the anime characters such as Misty and Brock and Ash as a whole, the boy who never fucking grows up, who's the same age all the time. Every single region, he always is able to find Pokemon that are willing to be trained and owned by him. So yes, Pokemon can consent. Why Lily would make the active choice to even invoke other mental imagery means they really wanted to make that joke. And I find that weird. For reasons that should be obviously obvious. Now let's address that dumb shit she said.
Agree to be speaking up. I don't need the other dragon. I can kick your ass right here, dickweed. But he runs away, and the rest of the Scooby gang meet me at the bottom and insist I should go to Relic Castle to find the stone to summon Reshiram. Guys, I don't need Reshiram. Let's just go curb stomp this bitch already. Or we could just not and let him completely fail to change people's minds. Like, this place was built off of America. You can't get Americans to admit there's an impending climate crisis while half their states are on fire, let alone give up their pets. So I make it to Relic Castle, where Charon runs up and tells me that it's Relic Castle. Thanks, Charon, you're very helpful. At the bottom we find Getsis, who announces that the Lightstone isn't here, and then offers me congratulations for being chosen by the king. Chosen to kick his ass, maybe. He says if I fail, Team Plasma will steal Pokemon from people and release them. Then Alder asks if the Pokemon really want that. Hey, what's this? You're actually engaging with the conversation. What happened to...
Spent so much time shitting on characters. They have nothing to say about characters engaging with the narrative as written.
The last 12 cutscenes where you wax poetic about opinions and did nothing else. That actually raises an interesting notion. If they steal Pokemon from people and release them, what's stopping the Pokemon from just going back? The reason why this is such a false lead is because Pokemon is pretty much always reinforced that Pokemon like their trainers and their relationship is consensual. Oh, that almost stepped into bad territory. Their relationship is symbiotic. Pokemon agree to be trained, and that's evident just by what Pokemon are. Humans aren't special. She doesn't follow me around because I abuse her into complacency. That's impossible. This thing is a walking nightmare of psychic powers and teeth, and it's very evidently intelligent. It's not going to submit to anything, no matter what the internet might tell you. How do you know whether the...
Thinks an animal being a cohabitating creature is the same as a sexual fetish or by loners and depressives Two S's. Invoking sexuality again for the 18th time. Couldn't get it out of me. Couldn't get it out of me. Could not get this out of me. I don't believe it. I don't think like this. But you couldn't get me to say shit like this at
the Pokemon or the human has thing is chaotic. Pokemon agree to be trained, and that's evident just by what Pokemon are. Humans aren't special. G doesn't follow me around because I abuse her into complacency. That's impossible. This thing is a walking nightmare of psychic powers and teeth, and it's very evidently intelligent. It's
So, like, the problem with this is that the natural state of a water fire isn't to do that, though. And the logic on that doesn't track either. Because animals are only aggressive, be territorial, and hunt. If Pokemon were creatures that didn't have the ability to consent, they would just be monsters that trainers would be electively executing, depending on whether or not they could be domesticated or not. Imagine any boar-type Pokemon that could be just hunted to near extinction, to the point that they become an endangered species, because the majority of that Pokemon and its subspecies are all considered pests. Imagine! Just imagine.
It's not going to submit to anything, no matter what the internet might tell you. How do you know whether the Pokemon or the human has control? Simple. Which one can cast Hyper Beam? Yeah, that's what I thought.
This implies that humans are being selectively chosen by Pokemon and not Pokemon choosing to go with humans. The implication is there is that you had to get a sexually illicit response in the first place for your fucking fetish shit, which, okay, ew, but then also, the Rico case, where all of the intentions of the writing leads to something that you dislike. That requires in the world of Pokemon to have surveillance. And if they had surveillance on these kids, half the plots in these games wouldn't happen. So, like, what are we talking about? Ah, man, I don't really control this fucking war-torn creature of existence. Hey, Mewtwo, cast Brain Melt on that guy. Go watch that. The psychic Pokemon whose entire arc in the movie that introduces him, after Giovanni traps him, meant off by the fact, because my poster's right behind me. Actually, no, it's out on the other side of the screen. Right behind me? No. It's not like one of the titular points in this goddamn fucking movie is the segment of Brother My Brother. No! When the beam clash between Mew and Mewtwo results in Ash getting turned to stone and the tears of the clone Pokemon and the real Pokemon is what brings him back to life. No! No! They're just dumb as rocks. Just dumb, stupid animals that control it based on the ability to say, mine! And for every single creature that they can't control like that and own like that, they just hyper beam the face off of anything that tries. No! I hate posers. I really hate posers, chat. I need you to understand how much I hate. I have an unreal level of hatred for this. The inability to understand how stupid and wrong she is. Burning, seething agony. A virulent plague on any person who thinks like this. Okay. Alright. I hope we got that established. Learning the human language by literally going to a tongue twister's speaking class. Okay. Alright. Did I smudge my lens? Yeah, I actually did a little bit. Can you smell my hot breath through the camera, chat? Yes, I have cavities. I don't have health insurance. Okay. Y'all understand? We all got that established. Okay.
After we get out, we head back to Nakreen City because it turns out Lenora had the light stone the entire time. Well, damn, Lenora, coming through at the last minute. You're great. Just before I take it, though, Alder warns me that by taking up the light stone, I'm committing to stopping N if he fails and asks if I'm ready for that. Well, shit, when you put it that way, I only became a Pokemon trainer 17 hours ago. Maybe not. So you're just going to allow N to fulfill his...
Doorbell.
Plans for a new world? Dude, you asked me if I was ready for this. Don't ask me to second guess myself and yell at me for doing it. That's just mean. Succumbing to peer pressure, I accept the light stone, and now I have to go to Opelucid City to ask the gym leader for help. Before I make it onto the two-blind bridge, I get accosted by Bianca, who demands a battle, and then talks about ideals as if I supposedly have any. Bianca, I'm a mute child. I have no ideals. Stepping onto the bridge, I see Getsus.
If you're a mute child, how did you talk back in the fucking cave? If you're a mute child, how did you talk on the tower? Making shit up again.
In the distance, and then the Shadow Triad escorts me 5 steps north again. Why are you like this? Getsus that gives up the ghost that his entire philosophy is a lie to seize control of Unova. Oh no! I'm shocked. Completely and utterly bamboozled. Utterly fucking blindsided. What a twist, Mr. Shyamalan. I definitely thought Pokemon was seriously going to unpack its own ethics. Totally did not expect a reassuring excuse coming. By my hubris, I have been fooled, good sir. Making it to Opelucid City, I found Team Plasma making a lame speech. Maybe we should release our Pokemon. Are you fucking kidding me? These fucking simps, I swear. Iris drags me to a building to tell me a story about the legendary dragons and how they represent truth and oh my god. If one more person talks about ideals, I'm going to fucking scream.
The ideals of the series on the high key level boils down to Gase trying to convince people to effectively give up their living weapons. You incompetent fool. On the high end, as a philosophy argument, you have freedom versus control. On the subdural level of that argument, you have megalomaniac hopes that other people disarm themselves so he can take over. Beneath that, you have the tyranny and control of an adult affecting the free will of a child in the form of one of your rivals. Maybe the game's trying to tell you something. Maybe the game's trying to tell you something. No, that's too hard.
For getting the 8th badge, don't give me that look. The gym is crap and the battle was boring. I swept with Psychic, don't fucking complain. And Professor Juniper mentions that Reshiram will appear before someone truly worthy. Cool, but I still don't need Reshiram. Then she drags me by the neck toward Victory Road. Lady, I can walk! Playing this game, I sometimes feel like a small child trying to pull her hand out of her mother's grip. Let go, Masuda. Let people play the game themselves. Once I make it to the Pokemon League, the Elite Four fell like fucking dominoes. The closest thing to a hassle I had was having to switch out to B-Sharp on Chantal. Marshall, his Pokemon are all pure fighting type and fell to Psychic. Caitlyn, her Pokemon are Psychic type and I have Shadow Ball. And Grimsley, I struck 4 Focus Blasts in a fucking row. It was a slaughter. Getting out to the champion, it turns out that he's been defeated by N, who through his show of strength will now issue an order to the entire region to release their Pokemon because that's how politics works. You beat the champion of Pokemon and that makes you president now. But he's all like, we will decide this between you and I, but then says this isn't an appropriate place for dragons to fight, so he raises an entire castle out of the ground, which was conveniently placed right around the Elite Four and nobody noticed being constructed.
A new empire.
I don't even have anything to say to that. Just...
Somehow being returned.
So I head up into the castle where I encounter the 7 sages. Those in accordance with fate are preserved, and those who rebel against fate perish. When the way is forgotten, duty and justice appear. One can lose the forest for the trees. Are you guys just gonna spew cliches? If you make a mistake and do not correct it, that is a second mistake. Superior men understand what is right. Inferior men understand what will sell. Please. Please, Masuda. I can't take any more shtick. But this time the sages do want to battle, but just as they're about to surround me...
Are you tongue-tied, Lily? Say something!
Clay walks in with all the gym leaders. Okay, no hyperbole, no irony, no sarcasm. As awful as this game's writing has been, this bit's fucking cool. Seeing Clay, Lenora, Iris, and the other gym leaders I care significantly less about show up is fucking cool. Plus, it means instead of spamming Psychic, I get to run through a creepy castle.
Maybe it's because the entire point was that the sages were willing to go along with Gates' plan and was gonna gang up on a defenseless child and their sky-rending Pokemon that apparently would allow devious things to happen to their trainer. Question mark. Only for the fucking power of friendship type ass shit to start happening in the writing as they start playing the Pokemon theme. Maybe it's what we call a set piece. And perhaps that set piece was written so that you could enjoy the scenery of the game. Maybe. Maybe. Wasted. Just wasted brain cells. Wasted brain cells. How would you know the story? This is the first question most of all. You've been doing nothing but cheating and skipping and running and complaining and bitching and whining and moaning about the dialogue, never showing off the dialogue of what they believe and what they want to do. You did more effort talking about and explaining the dialogue and the background choices and the options that were happening in excuse me, Gen 3 than you did anywhere else. Fucking so useless. Such useless bullshit from this person.
I reach En's throne and he yammers on about ideals and truth and then summons Zekrom to help him. But then the Lightstone pops out of my bag and summons Reshiram in response. And then I'm forced to catch it, which is what the Master Ball was for, I assume. Unless this Pokemon had a really high catch rate and I wasted it. But if I did, I don't care, we're at the end of the game anyway. Then Reshiram gets put into the PC and the game asks if I want to add Reshiram to my party.
No, I won't need that.
Fuck your prophecy, fuck your themes, you already know what the fuck it is.
Now, I'm going to make a prediction. Because obviously, denial of the thematic climax of the story as expected. But I have a prediction. Lily is not about to comment about the fact that they were allowed to send Reshiram to the PC. Because all of the molding, specifically in Gen 5, has been, I don't like the story. I don't like that you're hand holding me. I don't like you won't give me control. I don't like that I can't choose to do what I want. You capture the Pokemon, and the game didn't force you to use it in the final battle. And while you sit there besmirching it, saying, yeah, I do what I want. Fuck your prophecy. I don't care about your prophecy. Are you going to comment on the fact that the game allowed you to have the ability to do that? Probably not. Seems to me that you're on that shit again.
En throws a little baby bitch tantrum about how he wasn't strong enough to enact segregation, and then Getsus comes in and just fucking roasts him for being weak and stupid. And Getsus is scum, but goddamn, En, you fucking deserve this. Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
The child that was groomed by a literal fascist who wanted to bring about a fascist utopia by first starting by disarming every one of their Pokemons and friends. Oh man, that guy that was gaslit by that person to become Hitler 2.58. Oh, he deserves to get roasted by the man who's responsible for putting those ideals in his head. Oh, fuck that guy. Oh. So no, she will not address it. And further mocking of N's story climax, and antagonization of a fictional character. Lame, 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 lame.
Getsus fully gives up the ghost for the 17th time in the game that he just wants to rule as dictator and then challenges me to a fight. A fight he fucking loses. Getsus gets carried out swearing that he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for that meddling kid and her angry celery, and then En wants to have a final conversation where he doesn't really change much of anything at all. He says, maybe different opinions are good. Good job, En. Not sure we needed an entire game for you to figure that out, but sure. You've managed to meet the intellectual standards of a 6-year-old. And then he flies off on Zekrom, and that's the end of the game. Holy shit. No hyperbole. No sarcasm. That was the worst piece of shit I've ever fucking played. This game is so fucking boring. It's your typical Pokemon game, but laden with interruptions from annoying fucking characters who only exist to harass you with the most mind-numbing fucking take in the goddamn world. Every line in this game is just about how great it is to have opinions. Not about the opinions we have, but how great it is to just fucking have them. That is the most...
You know what you're not allowed to have in a fascist dictatorship? Opinions. Consensus of your own thoughts. To the point that they control the thoughts that you think when you think that your brain is allowed to be disengaged from whatever menial task you're doing. These words don't mean things. These words don't mean things to her or anyone else that acts like this. Fascism is when I don't like people. Unity is when fascism. How to stop fascism and create unity? Fuck it, I don't know, bro. I'm really bored of this game that's talking all about this the entire fucking time. I feel the need to destroy and antagonize the concept despite not having full understanding or explanation of what I'm doing and saying, ah! I am not a big fan of Lily Orchard.
basic bitch fucking theme in the goddamn world. I have been under duress this entire fucking time, especially when these characters talk about what great friends we are.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.
Look, I don't care about the story, sure, but it's not because story in games doesn't...
Carl, address the abuser glazing and abuse and bashing a child victim. Oh no, that's the problem. The viewpoint of the problem with this entire end bashing that I can see here is that never once did she ever address a single thing that Gates really thinks outside of the I beat him and it was easy. Just over and over again. Never made the connection. Didn't care to make the connection. It's so frustrating. And then you celebrate the fact that that child who's been mentally tormented and broken and gaslit and controlled by that villain is getting berated by the villain, and never once did you think maybe the reason why they're like this is because of them. No, you agree with the villain and say, ah man, you deserve to get fucking treated like shit by the guy that's responsible for making you feel like you have to do things, like own other people's Pokemon in the world. I am not a big fan of Lily Orchard.
Interest me. It's because Pokemon story is simultaneously bad in the most boring way possible and obscenely omnipresent and intrusive. Over the years, Game Freak has gotten it into their head that Pokemon has to be a typical JRPG with a typical JRPG story, and so the story has commanded a lot more attention and imposes on the player every chance it gets. And like every incompetent writer in video games, Game Freak has simultaneously not changed how they write stories, nor have they dared bruise their ego by offering proper cutscene skip. Black and White are often praised for having the best story in a Pokemon.
Why would they have skipping of cutscenes in a game where the story is based around those quest flags? If you were skipping the story in a JRPG, you are not really playing the JRPG. Dummy.
Game, and having listened to so many people say this, I genuinely did wonder if I'd missed something about it all those years ago. Even people who say the story is weak qualify it by saying it's still the best story a Pokemon game has ever had, but no, quite the opposite. They actually have the very worst. At the start, the story positions the idea that Pokemon training is unethical, but the player is actively discouraged from thinking about that at every point in the game. The player cannot speak, cannot interact with any of the characters outside of being ranted to, cannot make decisions about how they raise their Pokemon. Keeping a Pokemon at 0 happiness is still the most difficult task in the entire franchise. The usual token character who treats Pokemon like tools is literally in Team Plasma, and furthermore, the game reassures the player very quickly that Team Plasma is completely full of shit, and those that are true believers are often given dialogue about how right they are and how dumb it is to disagree with them, and like, oh my god, don't they just sound like so arrogant? Despite being the plot of the game, the player is never once asked or even empowered to think about Pokemon battling and how you treat your Pokemon. Not once. The game doesn't even give you the
That is a lie.
chance to be a bad trainer. You can reduce your Pokemon's happiness all the way to 0 and make it hate you, but N's dialogue when he talks to your Pokemon is literally unable to take this into account. It's not like the game checks your friendship level, it's just hard-coded dialogue. So even if you try to be a bad trainer, the game just ignores it. And that's because, for obvious reasons, Game Freak doesn't want you thinking about the ethics of Pokemon battling. They write like J.K. Rowling, literally screaming in someone's ear, "Hermione, open your ears, they like being enslaved."
J.K. Rowling was mentioned. Harry Potter was also mentioned.
Even N, the character the fandom falls over to praise, largely only talks about beliefs in the most vague, esoteric way possible. How he needs to confirm his beliefs, make people agree with him, yada yada yada. This isn't a game about ideas. It's about the idea of having ideas. which is weak. There's a point in the game where the main characters encounter Team Plasma, and in response to their rhetoric state that everyone has their own opinion and it's wrong to try and force others to conform to your opinion. Sorry, did I say a point? I meant every time Team Plasma shows their fucking face. It's about the only point the game has. It doesn't even ask you to consider Pokemon abuse, like, not once. Despite having an entire mechanic for it, it's never once put on the table. It answers that moral question for you very quickly, and the answer is, you're already doing the right thing. Don't think. Don't reconsider consuming our product. Please keep consuming product. It honestly felt weird playing through this. Like, am I in the fucking Twilight Zone? What am I missing? But then I had to pull back and remember this isn't a majority opinion. I'm not saying anything controversial. A lot of Pokemon fans bounced right the fuck off the Unova games. Gen 5 has a dedicated cult following that's like really aggy and defensive, but the games themselves are just not very good.
To you. And how would you know what good is when you keep cheating every single time? Since fucking 3. You just keep doing it over and over again, dude. You say words, but these words don't matter because your opinions don't matter because you demonstrated that they don't matter.
And it's easy to see why. For all the features and all the bold new directions, the actual main game, the thing you have no choice but to do because everything else is locked behind it, is terrible. It's a constant sequence of being dragged by the neck by every single character in the map, not being left to your own devices for a moment while characters all spout the exact same thing at you every single time, and a villain for whom his main philosophy is message board spam. And then there's the issue of the Pokemon themselves. Generation 5 had no returning Pokemon, and it was all new Pokemon, which is a bold decision, but it's also a big reason a lot of people bounced right off. A lot of people want to play with their favorites. This isn't a problem I have, honestly. I don't need a full team of my favorites, just the one will do. But this refusal to accept new Pokemon isn't a problem that any other generation has had.
It's not a refusal to use new Pokemon. You know that it's not a refusal to use new Pokemon because you actively acknowledged this all the way back up here at point 36. Over probably what should be in real time 25 minutes ago. Probably maybe even 10-15 minutes ago. You understand why the change was made. You just don't care about it. You don't like the fact that the new were mixed in with the old, which would then make it impossible for you to find your fucking Pokemon. Don't you think? Oh man, I want to be able to use the new Pokemon and the old Pokemon. And they do it in black and white too. Even then, and then, you cope like this after spending the majority of this fucking video section molding about the story and about your choices. Headache.
Find new favorites in the new generations all the time. Every gen births new fan favorites. So why did Gen 5 suffer? Well, because in the other gens, you get to experiment at your own desire. Generation 5 forces you to only use new Pokemon, and it's not immediately apparent where the fun ones are. You don't have any choice but to play the game their way, and nobody likes that attitude from any developer. The problem with Pokemon, like just as a whole, like as we continue on, has always come down to the senior devs at Game Freak, the game directors. The entire Pokemon series since Ruby and Sapphire has been directed by two guys who are so clearly stuck in their ways and refuse to budge on anything. Masuda's answer for why the Battle Frontier, a niche but beloved feature, wasn't included in ORAS was kids are stupid and never put down their phones. Masuda clearly has a bug up his ass about a lot of things, and that's evident in the breakdown in this very game, where he has every character loudly and aggressively shout down any and all criticisms of the Pokemon world. This isn't just—
That's not what happened.
A rant against PETA and all the dogfighting jokes. This is a rant against anyone who wants to change Pokemon into something other than what he wants it to be. People who think Pokemon should conform to their views, at least from his perspective. I said earlier that the insistently simple dialogue is a reflection on the director, not Team Plasma. And it is. This is Masuda saying directly to you, if you think Pokemon should be something other than a typical JRPG, you're stupid, and you're a tyrant, and we hate you, and you're secretly evil, and you're an annoying twat with dyed hair. Okay, Boomer.
I roll. Gen 6 voice!
Okay, G, it's time for Kalos. We should... what are you doing? Gee, I have bad news on that front. Well, your Megastone isn't available until the post game. Yeah, you get it from trading with Diantha, who gives you a Ralts holding the stone. So we won't be using Mega Evolution. Look, I'm sorry, nothing I can do about that. Don't take this out on me.
An entire bit dedicated to Mega Evolution. An entire bit. An entire bit. If this entire segment is dedicated to describing how she's about to cheat a fucking Mega Evolution to the game, I'm getting up and I'm punching the wall.
Right, fine. If I hack the Megastone, will you calm down?
Why won't you stop cheating? Why won't you stop cheating? Why? What is the point of a retrospective where you never fucking retrospect on what's there? How is this a fucking review? If a person cannot be capable of playing the games, even in a remaster or remake state, without needing to use outside hacking tools to actively modify the conditions in which they play the game, it should require that that person's opinion be immediately professionally discarded and also revoked from relevancy, simply because they are quintessentially refusing to play the game as it was made and packaged. Imagine if you could, in the original Metroid Prime, start with the Phazon suit, and thus the effects of what the Phazon suit allows you to do in the Metroid Prime fight for the entirety of the game. Playing a Metroidvania with all of the abilities unlocked to you from the beginning, instead of having to slowly unlock them and thus gain the mobility and the utility and the power and the effort of grinding and better grinding opportunities before having acquired the abilities. Playing your JRPG where all of the skills and all of the weapons and all of the final form attacks are unlocked to you from the beginning. What is the fucking point of a game that's playing itself? There would be an argument where you could want to say, hey, building off of what Fatal just said, there's an argument where you could say, hey, I want to be able to experience and see the side options. So I decided to make it so that these two characters cannot be killed in the game so I can experience all of their support speeches. But instead, you can't. Or don't. For whatever reason. or do for whatever reason. There's an argument where you could say that. But a person doing that so they can experience that material, and they weren't just reading it from a wiki or seeing it from a cutscene or from a YouTube video. There's an argument where a person's doing that, and they're not doing that with the intention and purpose of talking about an educational position of retrospective about the games. Because I haven't learned a single fucking thing from these videos thus far.
Fine. McKay's right, I am whipped. Gen 6, the true meaning of Christmas. When it was announced, people went absolutely ballistic. A fully 3D Pokemon game on a system that could actually handle 3D models without having an aneurysm. On paper, it was everything the fanbase wanted, but as a wise
Still
man
comparing
once
it to
said,
fucking
a lot
Kingdom
of
Hearts.
people don't actually know what they want, and a full 3D approach is the opposite of what Game Freak should have been doing, because Game Freak's senior staff is averse to any meaningful change. A 2D game can work on a 3-year development cycle, but a 3D game doesn't unless it already has most of its infrastructure in place. And as we're about to find out, Game Freak has zero incentive to change that development approach. So this is the turning point for Pokemon. It's the point where the creative side is going to brush up against the senior staff and their desire to own 57 yachts. So let's dive right in. We're introduced to Professor Sycamore, the resident Tumblr sexy man, and this time we get to customize our character. But there's just one little snag. Skin and hair colors are locked together at the start. You can change your hair and eyes later, but your skin you can't change, which means you have to wait a little while before being able to actually customize your character at all, which isn't great. I mean, I'm relatively light-skinned, but I have dark brown hair and dark brown eyes, and now I have to choose between them. But it's ultimately a minor inconvenience. Ultimately, Gen 6's character customization is not very good. A fledgling wakes me up with a violent tackle, I get dressed, and Mom tells me to say hi to the neighbors. I head into the next town and meet all my friends who will definitely not annoy me into thoughts of murder. Caleb, the opposite protagonist, Shauna, one of my primary rivals, and Tierno and Trevor, who aren't as important. Tierno suggests we all use nicknames, which I don't really care for. He wants to call me Lady L. What the hell's wrong with you? Shauna wants to call me Lil L. Well, that just doesn't even roll off the tongue very well. And Trevor is uncomfortable at nicknaming someone he just met. You know?
And not a single mention about the fact that this is clearly localizers at their worst. Why the fuck in a Pokemon game would somebody use the appropriation of Lil? Does rap music exist inside the world of Pokemon? I imagine it does. Do SoundCloud rappers exist inside the world of Pokemon? Do they get their Pokemon to help them as a backing track? There's just like one guy with nothing but an army of 13 Jigglypuffs and Whirlituffs. This is the opening dialogue. Okay.
We get to customize our character, but there's just one little snag. Skin and hair colors are locked to...
You ask me, I'm pretty sure Lil Wayne would have a Growlithe. He'd have a Growlithe, and he'd have that big mouth bat Pokemon, whose name I can't remember. And probably an Articuno. Lyrical, spiritual, miracle uppers. True. I think I'm thinking of Golbat. It's not. It's a bit more muscular than Golbat, and the mouth is a bit bigger. Unless I'm thinking of something that's bipedal that has giant Mickey Mouse ears on the side of its head that look like fucking headphones. Maybe I'm confusing my fucking Dragon Quest creatures with my Pokemon creatures. Let's double check that. Is it Noivern? No, not Noivern. Although that's one that's up there. I can't remember what I'm thinking of. Loudred. Maybe it's Loudred. No, I was thinking of bipedal Loudred. I was thinking of a Loudred. Yes. It was Maldred. Like Lil Wayne and a bunch of other SoundCloud rappers just walks around with a bunch of fucking Pokemon. Like Loudred. They just walk around with a Loudred, and the Loudred just... They have the ability to basically shout whatever music they've heard, so they act as living record players. Now what does Explode look like again? Maybe that too. Is that its Mega Evolution? Yes, it is. See, Travis Scott would own a Mega Explode. That's what he would do. This would become his stage. He would tell it to Mega Evolve so that he can then fucking do Cactus Jack performances out of its fucking mouth. Anyways. It's not a real Pokemon? That's a fake mon. Ah, I see. Me as the non-proper Pokemon fan past Gen 3, I wouldn't know. Forgive me, horror, for my sins. Anyways, what I had backed up here for...
Together at the start. You can change your hair and eyes later, but your skin you can't change, which means you have to wait a little while before being able to actually customize your character at all, which isn't great. I mean, I'm relatively light-skinned, but I have dark brown hair and dark brown eyes, and now I have to choose between them. But it's ultimately a minor inconvenience. Ultimately, Gen 6's character customization is not very good. A fledgling wakes me up with a violent tackle, I get dressed, and Mom tells me to say hi to the neighbors. I head into the next town and meet all my friends who will definitely not annoy me into thoughts of murder. Caleb, the opposite protagonist, Shauna, one of my primary rivals, and Tierno and Trevor, who aren't as important. Tierno suggests we all use nicknames, which I don't really care for. He wants to call me Lady L. What the hell's wrong with you? Shauna wants to call me Lil L. Well, that just doesn't even roll off the tongue very well. And Trevor is uncomfortable at nicknaming someone he just met. You know what? Trevor's got a good head on his shoulders. I like Trevor. But he caves to peer pressure and suggests Elkins. Oh god, that's the worst one. Then Caleb remembers that I'm a thinking, breathing human being and that I should be the one to decide.
Hey, it looked like a cool concept to me. If a Mega Exloud could turn into a fucking stage, that'd be hilarious. But,
Good job, Caleb. And I can choose one of these three or pick my own. To show my contempt for this entire rigmarole, I chose bitch. You want us to call you bitch? Yes, I...
That's not funny. Oh, at the top of this. This is actually 44 and 45. I didn't write down the biggest fucking sin.
I do. Okay, bitch fits you perfectly. Okay, this is great. I wonder why they took out the nickname feature in Gen 7. Oh wait, I'm probably the reason why. Then we get to choose our Pokemon between a Chespin, a Fennekin, and Ralts. Well, how did you get in here, little one? I better take this before the universe explodes. Then Trevor gives me a Pokedex. You know, on reflection, I kind of like this intro. It's really getting everything over and done with right away. Like I just sat down and filled out all the paperwork. Okay, these are your buddies. What's your nickname? What star did you want? How did you alter reality to put a Ralts in there? And here's your Pokedex. They give me a letter from my mother, so I head back home, but Shauna stops me for a Pokemon battle. Bitch, wait! It's never gonna get old. I'm such a child. I beat Shauna thanks to a clutch confusion. She's still a thrashing beast. Getting back home, my mother reads the letter and gives me a change of clothes and a town map. You remember how to use the town map, right? Yes, mother, I'm not stupid. That's my girl. Select the town map from your Hey, stop tutorializing me. I already said I know. Caleb forces us to watch a catching tutorial, but it's over mercifully quickly. I found out the game is programmed so that on this route, Pokemon can't break out of balls, which I'm cool with. Shauna is surprised at how Pokeballs work despite already seeing it with her own eyes. Caleb even roasts her for it. Okay, so the game's not condescending. Shauna's just an idiot. I started looking for a Caterpie and training on the other wild Pokemon I found. In the process, I ran into a
Yes. She hacks in Ralts into every generation that she can. Which in this generation includes hacking in a Ralts with Mega Evolution. An entire section in the beginning dedicated to how she's going to cheat. The committal to cheat, the refusal to stop cheating. Outside of Gens 1 through 4, I don't recall ever thinking that a Pokemon's intro is short. This is like saying that the technical 10 hours that could be done between 3 game sessions of the opening of Path of Exile's campaign is a relatively small amount of time compared to the rest of the game that you'll be experiencing, learning, playing, and thriving through. Plus or minus having restarts because you choose to respec to a different build. I definitely would not say that it's a thing that just, like, is good and exists and does what it's supposed to. It's weird. It's really fucking weird. But it's just the way that things that were problems in other generations stop being problems randomly and then go back to being problems. She's still bouncing up and down like a pogo. I'm pretty sure if I roll all the way back up to 10, I'll start seeing the same problems.
Shiny Bunnelby. Now, I made a point to not discuss shiny Pokemon until I actually found one in the wild. Shiny Pokemon are Pokemon that have a small chance to be a slightly different color from the normal Pokemon. So a regular Charmander is orange, while a shiny Charmander is yellow. Okay, well that's cool, Lily. What are the odds? 10%? No. 5%? No. 1%? No. Try 0.012%. Shiny Pokemon are odd. They are so unbelievably rare that there is a good chance that just casually playing through all the games you will never run into a shiny Pokemon. Generation 2 had to have a static shiny encounter just to tell you they were in the game. And I'll tell you this, most of us didn't know Red Gyarados was a shiny. We didn't know shiny was a thing. We thought he was just a unique Pokemon for that storyline. Now, shiny Pokemon are treated with a great deal of value by the shiny hunting community, and that value is entirely based on the fact that they're so rare, not a lot of people have them. In fact, the shiny hunting community complains about shinies becoming less valuable whenever the chance to encounter one goes up. This is called extrinsic value determined by a market, also known as fake value. The intrinsic value of a shiny, the actual value of that Pokemon as it exists, is pretty much down to how much you like the Pokemon and the color scheme. For example, my favorite Pokemon is Gardevoir, but I hate its shiny form. The blue and orange, while still as complementary a color scheme as the green and pink, just doesn't look as good, and the black dress on its Mega Evolution isn't all that appealing either. It's just the old adage of slap black on something and instantly it becomes edgy and better, like shiny Charizard. If you gave shiny Pokemon a flat 15% rate to appear, their intrinsic value would not change. People would still want the shiny Pokemon they like, and then they would get them. Their extrinsic value, the value assigned to them by shiny hunters, based on rarity and therefore bragging rights, would plummet. But extrinsic value is fake, like NFTs, or currency conversion, or inflation. It's all fake. None of it's real.
I knew that was coming. We'll talk about it in a second. Believe you me, as somebody who collects things in a video game that has absolutely no value to them except for themselves and completionism, I have things to say. I'm gonna let her finish.
The current real value of a shiny Pokemon is fucking zero. Even if you like a particular shiny Pokemon, it's just too much effort and too much time to hunt for one of those things. I've seen shiny hunters go into 20,000 soft resets. If you want a shiny that badly, hack it in. Nobody who values themselves as a person will judge you for it. Oh, I knocked out that Bunnelby, by the way. I eventually gave up looking for a Caterpie and decided to check in Santaloon.
Okay. Let's play that section again. One more time.
If you want a shiny that badly, hack it in. Nobody who values themselves as a person will judge you for it.
And once more.
Time to hunt for one of those things. I've seen shiny hunters go into 20,000 soft resets. If you want a shiny that badly, hack it in. Nobody who values themselves as a person will judge you for it. Oh, to follow me because chance to encounter one goes up. This is value. The intrinsic crawl all over the mansion and find nothing. In fact, there was something in my aura. This is a very real.
Rolled way too far.
Bragging rights would plummet, but extrinsic value is fake, like NFTs, or currency conversion, or inflation. It's all fake, none of it's real. The current real value of a shiny Pokemon is fucking zero. Even if you like a particular shiny Pokemon, it's just too much effort and too much time to hunt for one of those things. I've seen shiny hunters go into 20,000 soft resets. If you want a shiny that badly, hack it in. Nobody who values themselves as a person will judge you for it.
Okay. $46. Definitively is not the target audience of Pokemon. If you want it, hack it in. No one who values themselves as a person will judge you for it. $47 doesn't understand the appeal of shinies and actively disengages from the core concern of the argument. $48. Actively doesn't understand why these are problems. For all the time that I've spent playing video games that have NFTs, of which almost all of video games in some shape, form, or fashion, especially when you're talking about achievements. Achievements, as well as all the things in our games, guys, they are NFTs. Especially cosmetics. Especially store-bought cosmetics. Especially store-bought cosmetics that don't exist except to create value through the sense of bragging rights. Sidestepping the obvious, duh! The value of a shiny is always sentimental because you worked for it. It's the most meritocratic thing that a player can have and do. Hey, look at my entire living shiny collection of all the shinies that I have in Pokemon. Here's my normal Pokemon, and here's my shiny collected Pokemon. Look at how I got them. Look at their IV levels. Look at how I skidded them out. They're not only combat viable, they're also squishy and I love them. It is like buying a new pillow for your love seat and or bed. The entire purpose is to have fun. If, in the infinite wisdom of people like her, you dedicate yourself to treating it like this, all you're really saying is you do not understand why to play the games. They are collectibles in a game series where you can trade them to other players. If it were possible with SMT to trade demons with other people, it'd be the exact same way, especially with alternate version collections. Technically, this is one of the things that made the collection status of character profiles for that of Devil Downloader Liberation so unique, and also what led to the majority of the whaling. Alternate art exists for those demons, because of course they came through different phases. You have the old SMT if era, and then you have the numbered era. Some of them are going to differ, because characters like Nekomata had different art, and so that alternate color becomes valuable, because the entire idea of the alternate character is that as they statted them for the games, the alternate character had either stronger abilities or had the ability to be combined to form a special type of demon. Not to mention the difficulties of triangle fusions or mistake error fusions, some which are required to create some of the better demons of the game. That entire diatribe rant disqualified her from ever being able to speak about collectibles and sentimentality ever again. She doesn't get it. She can't get it. She doesn't know how to. She literally cannot wrap her mind around the concept of somebody wanting to do something ad nauseum because they wanted to do it. She's frustrated and angry that she's being forced to play along the dialogue routes and the options of the characters and of the storyline. If I don't like it, I'm gonna hack it. Basically, is her modus operandi. And if you judge me for hacking, well, then you don't judge yourself as a person. Literally cheated yourself in the game. Could never have a discussion with other people because other people would start roasting you. And you deserve it.
Oh, I knocked out that Bunnelby, by the way. I eventually gave up looking for a Caterpie and decided to check in Santaloon Forest, where Shauna decided she wanted to follow me because something interesting might happen. And I went through the forest and nothing interesting happened. Sorry, Shauna. In front of the gym in Santaloon City, I'm challenged by a roller skater, and for beating her, I get rollerblades, which lets me move off the grid. I quite like the rollerblades. They make me slip all over the place, but it's a fun way to move, and nailing the timing to glide seamlessly around the area is a fun little bit of gameplay. After training up my fletchling, which also ended up being shiny funnily enough, I went to the gym. The Santaloon gym is a bug-type gym, but fitting with a common issue with gyms from Generation 5 onward was largely brain dead. I mostly just spammed peck and later confusion. I notice I'm spacing out in gym battles a lot more. The gym leader's sister then gave me the EXP share. The EXP share was changed to work differently this time around. It's a toggleable item that causes all Pokemon in your party to gain 50% of the XP you gain on a fight. This means that if you have a full party of 6, you're gaining 350% of the regular XP you get from knocking out a Pokemon. Because it's toggleable, you get to decide how to use it. My preferred method is to have it turned off, but when I'm trying to even out my Pokemon, I'll turn it on and put my highest level party member in the PC before I go grinding. This cuts down on grinding without fucking up the level curve. Some people complain that there's no incentive not to use the EXP share, but personally I find better game balance and the game being more fun to be all the reason you need. Talking about how you need it.
So wouldn't the game be more fun if you were curb stomping enemies by being higher than the encounter? Or is your sense of fun making it harder for yourself, but now claiming that it's better because you have a difficult fight instead of them being pushovers? Methinks you're capping again. Hmm. Hmm. What a fucking tool.
Incentives to
Mental
play a more
exhaustion.
difficult game just always sounded like the same argument I hear about Dark Souls and how if it had an easy mode, there would be no reason not to play it on that difficulty. Or
Because if the game has the exact same content and has the exact same difficulty spike at all times, there is never an argument for, well, I'm playing the game differently because this is the easier way to play. It instead reveals the obvious truth that people like you need crutches and like to cheese things. A simplified tactic that can work no matter what at all times, that consistently works. So you copy it off of somebody else who puts up a video about it. And then everybody else follows suit because they also too want to be lazy. And quote, get through it. Fucking stupid. Just fucking stupid. So fucking pedantic. You're cheating through the game, and then you try to make the dumb argument that most people do. But the difference between most of those people is that they want to make the game simpler for themselves because they're getting their balls crushed. You're hacking the game! And then you complain about difficulty! You cannot be for real!
or how there's no incentive to not spam surges and balloon in the handheld Kingdom Hearts games, which is a very weak piss baby criticism. Look, if you want the game to be harder, then fucking play it that way. If you don't, then don't. But don't act like your lack of self-control is the fucking game's problem. Look, modern Pokemon games have a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of problems. They are riddled with the fucking things. But this is not one of them. Get over yourself. After I make it through Route 4, side note, who decided Burmy should get Protect this early? Who are you? And where do you live? And how flammable is your house? I just want to talk. I'm invited to Sycamore's lab by 2 veteran trainers, who let me go there on my own. Huh. You know, after Gen 5 put me on a leash constantly, to the point that it didn't trust me to navigate a straight line, I'm liking being trusted to walk 10 feet. In Sycamore's lab, he asked me to battle, and upon winning, he offers me one of the Kanto starters, Chikorita, Igglybuff, and Tepig. There may have been a bit of a glitch when I was changing my starter, and other things may have gotten affected. I'm not sure how badly the game is affected by this, honestly, but I wasn't going to use the extra starter anyway, so it's all good. We're all good. Back downstairs, I met Lysander. He talks about his dedication to the world and how he wants to make it a better place. So, keeping in theme with Pokemon, that means he's the bad guy. After Lysander leaves, the Scooby Gang comes back down and, bitch, there's a place I want to check out! I almost forgotten I did that. Still funny, I am a fucking child. Shauna wants me to meet her somewhere, but first I get my hair fixed and then meet her at the Trainer PR Studio, a place where you can make and edit 10-second videos. Oh, so it's TikTok. Here's a fun internet fact. Younger viewers might be interested to know that before TikTok was TikTok, it was called Musical.ly, and before that, it was called Vine. It was a different app by a different company, but the vibe is still the same. You'll also be interested to know that my generation is now blaming all the problems we created on TikTok. So that's fun, we're already old. Caleb wants to talk about something in the cafe and is waiting for me there, and given the way the game has so far been willing to let me engage with it on my own terms, I'm a lot less resistant to this stuff than I was in the last 2 gens. Inside we find Lysander talking to Diantha, a famous movie star who happens to look like Princess Knight. You played a young girl so wonderfully in your debut on the silver screen. Wouldn't you rather remain young and beautiful forever and always play such roles? What a strange question. Oh, that's a fucking understatement, Di. Dude went from 0 to incel in less than 3 seconds. Diantha says that youth may be beautiful, but it's not all there is to life, and she's looking forward to playing new roles as she gets older. You were chosen to be a movie star, correct? Isn't it your duty to be ever beautiful? Chosen. Oh, she didn't pursue it. She was chosen. Ah, yes. AB, assigned actress at birth. Everything beautiful should stay that way forever. I would end the world in an
dramatic character. He is an incel who likes coochie and is desperate for coochie crumbs and needs coochie. Coochie, 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 coochie.
instant so that beauty never fades. Dude, what the fuck? We just went from creepy incel behavior to advocating genocide so fucking fast. Why is every villain a debate bro now? You know, after an entire generation of Junichi Masuda's public meltdown over criticism of his games, getting back to just a weirdo with delusions of grandeur is honestly refreshing. Anyway, after he leaves and the weird smell is gone, Diantha introduces herself to us and confesses that she's a trainer in her off time. Oh yeah, sure, off time. You know, just a hobby. She's the fucking champion. Other champions work really hard to get where they are. How the hell do you manage to just knock it out in your spare time? Oh, I see. Ah, we're kindred spirits of broken bullshit, you and I. Speaking of which, she got buffed in this gen. Again, she got a new type which completely shifted her weaknesses to things she can already destroy, and she gets a mega evolution with an absurdly busted ass ability that turns normal type moves into fairy type moves and gives them a 30% power boost, on top of the stab boost they now get. There are a lot of moves to use this with, but the best is Hyper Voice, a move that hits every enemy, hits through substitutes, and because of these changes now has a power of 175. This was the last Pokemon that needed buffs, but it got them in spades. But it makes sense that she got them. In case you haven't noticed, there are 3 Pokemon that Game Freak will always trot out for the spotlight in new gimmicks, and those Pokemon are Charizard, Lucario, and Gardevoir. All 3 of them got Mega Evolutions in Generation 6, all 3 of them are frontrunners in Pokken, all 3 of them are frontrunners in Pokemon Unite, Lucario got his own movie, Charizard got a Gigantamax form and got to be the out-of-region Champions Ace in Generation 8, Gardevoir got a Paradox form in Generation 9 and got to be the out-of-region Champions Ace in Generation 6. One of them is Furry Bait, and Game Freak knows this. One of them is Pterodophile Bait, and Game Freak knows this. It's a trackable point of behavior at this point. When something happens, it is always these 3. Anyway, heading out to the Route 5 gate, Tierno calls me to tell me about the weird wild Pokemon he...
There's a great opportunity to make a joke about Harry Potter, and it's like every single time. Why is it always you 3? After mentioning it before, but you know, we only mention Harry Potter when we want to talk about anti-gay establishment positions that have to deal with whatever the fuck Joanne's on about. But besides that, while that is a noticeable thing that is true, it's probably because they're popular! They're popular. They are popular.
He found there. As I step onto the route, a Lucario walks right up and starts sniffing me.
They are prides of game. They market games. They get people to buy the crap. Stop it, Carl. You're gonna make yourself sad.
Go away. Go away, you.
His trainer runs up and explains that this Lucario is very antsy but doesn't usually like strangers and that he must be able to sense something in my aura. This is a very weird conversation, man. Please take your dogs and leave. Later I run into Tierno, who talks about running into a horde battle and then challenges me to a regular battle. After I win, good to see you, Lily. Excuse me, I meant bitch. Game Freak, bring back the nickname feature, it's fun.
Yes, she is indeed the Steven Universe chick.
In Camphrier Town, the only place to go is the castle. He tells us the history of the castle, and then Shauna asks if they know anything about Mega Evolution, to which the nice old karate man says, "The fuck's Mega Evolution?" Then someone comes in to tell him some fuck shit is going on, and he leaves us to explore the manor. Why don't we go to Route 7 too? I don't know, can't I look around first? I can! There wasn't much to see, but I'm appreciating the fact that I'm not being dragged around by the neck this time around. Maybe they just hadn't figured out how to do that in 3D space. Turns out that on Route 7, a Snorlax has fallen asleep and is blocking the road with his big, fat, lovable ass, and we have to go up to another palace to find the Pokeflute. I get to the palace and they want $1,000 to get in. The proceeds for the entrance fee goes toward repairing and maintaining the palace. Probably. Wow. Everyone here's just so done with everything. This is the palate cleanser I needed. Inside is a hapless man whose Pokemon is missing. Instead of looking for it, he's opted to stay by the...
Aw, man. People hate rich people in the world Pokemon.
solid gold Milotic statue. So Shauna suggests we go look for it instead, and by we, she means me. So I crawl all over the mansion and find nothing. Then I head out into the courtyard, and that's when Shauna decides that she wants to help. Oh, thanks, Shauna. Could have used your help earlier. Then I found him in the hedges, and it was a frou-frou. We've got to corner him in a puzzle by using Shauna to block off certain paths of escape, which would be an interesting puzzle if Shauna didn't bold-facedly tell you the answer every time. Once we corner him, his owner asks us to rendezvous on the balcony of the palace. Sir, I don't like the vibes you're giving off. I get to the balcony, and Shauna has beaten me there despite me dashing off and leaving her in the dirt. You know, I really hope we get to be great friends, Lily. I know I haven't seen them yet, but I know I'll never forget these fireworks, because I watched them with you, Lily. You okay, Shauna? I never want to forget this, so I'll keep this memory in an album in my heart. Well, this got gay really fucking fast. Like, holy shit. I think this is the first time a rival has been implied to have a crush on you, which is weird because it would certainly explain the very exuberant, almost...
insisting your rival is gay because friendships aren't real. Oh, I just forgot. That's not how you spell consequences. That's also not how you spell consequences. There's an S, Carl. There's an S. I'm being edited with the view from the other room. Excuse me.
Weirdly boundary-pushing behavior of most companions. Looking at you, Barry, and Bianca, and N, and How, and Lily, and Hop, and Nimona. Then the owner of the castle gives us the poke flute and is extremely classist in the process. Hey, this is France. Can't we put him in the guillotine? I want to make lots of memories on my journey, but I think I'll try and forget about him. Okay, Shauna's alright. I like Shauna. She's a good rival. Reviving me and Shauna. I bring the poke flute back to the karate man and he wakes up Snorlax only for it to attack. But after we put it back down, the rich bastard from earlier comes back and says that karate man plays the flute beautifully and we are all very awkward. Was that supposed to be an attempt to patch things up? I don't know, Shauna. I don't understand the wealthy. Past Snorlax at the Pokemon daycare where Trevor and Tierno catch up to us to insist we check it out.
You don't understand
thanks,
working
guys, I'm
class
good.
people either.
Okay, I guess I don't get a choice. I seem to remember something good could happen if you leave 2 Pokemon here. They fuck. They fuck, Trevor. Pokemon fuck. After I'm done destroying Trevor's innocence and getting myself blacklisted by Game Freak, he wants to show me the Battle Chateau. I've destroyed his childhood so badly that he's now interested in competitive Pokemon. I should feel guilty, but I am an evil person. Then we run into Caleb further down the road, and he wants to have a double battle with Trevor and Tierno. After it's over, they just shuffle me on my way. You know, so far I'm appreciating the approach the game has taken so far. Your rivals pop up, a lot to chat with you, but unlike the previous 2 gens, it's mostly just to say hi and move on. And at least the rival you spend the most time with, Shauna, actually has some charming dialogue to her. You know, they're just kids trying to have fun with their Pokemon, which is much better than having to listen to Sharon have an existential crisis about strength, or having to listen to N wax poetic about belief. Upon getting out of the cave, I'm immediately stopped by these 2 rich kids. Have you ever wondered how a single Pokedex could possibly cover a region as big as Kalos? Storage larger than 1 gigabyte, I assume. Well, it can't. That's why we're here to power up your Pokedex. Do I have to restart it? Because I hate firmware updates. They add the Coastal Kalos Pokedex to my Pokedex, so now it can read the Pokemon I will encounter from this point onward. This was unnecessary. You know, this is kind of what I mean about Pokemon's writing a lot. They just throw useless fluff scenes like this at you constantly. It's almost like Game Freak is trying to break its word count record. On my way down...
Complaining about quest flags. Again.
the mountain, I run into my first port encounter of 4 Seviper and a Zangoose. And because Zangoose was in the group, all the Seviper just started attacking us.
I see this as an absolute win.
In Ambra Town, I checked out the Fossil Lab because Caleb wanted to know if they knew anything about Mega Evolution, which has pretty much been the story the entire time. Go to a place, do you know anything about Mega Evolution? No. Next place, repeat until get Keystone. The researcher suggests that I go to Glittering Cave to look for a fossil, suggesting that a fossil Pokemon might help. Glittering Cave actually looks pretty neat. It's not a complicated area, it sacrificed that for the perspective, but I like how it looks like a cave, and not the weird underground cathedral most caves in Pokemon look like. Have you ever seen videos of spelunking? Caves are claustrophobic as fuck, I like this. Deep in the cave, I found a man dressed all in orange, looking like he was getting ready to reclaim a slur.
What do we have here? A nosy little trainer has come poking around? Listen up, we are the fashionable team whose very name makes people tremble in fear. Team Flare.
You just reminded me of Unforgotten Realms, sir. I don't think you're as terrifying as you think you are. He challenges me to a fight, but this is my 6th rodeo and he loses.
You're a pretty tough Pokemon trainer for a kid.
Sir, all Pokemon trainers are kids. The only adults are the people running the league. You are very pathetic. At the back of the cave, we find a researcher who is so absorbed with fossils he didn't notice the muggers closing in on him. Luckily, he already has the fossils he found and offers us each one. I chose the sail fossil. I brought the fossil back to the lab and was given an Amara. Now it's onward to the next city. Moving out towards Sillage City, I'm running into a similar problem that I had in Black and White. See, I need to get G up to level 30 before she's actually useful because Ralts and Curlia have pitifully low stats. But Ralts is in the slow leveling bracket, and that's compounded by the fact that she gets one shot by damn near fucking everything in the game, leading to a cycle where I do one battle, run back to the center, do another, run back to the center, repeat until 3DS is thrown across the room.
I wonder if there was something that was given to you so that you could be able to have an ace starter on your team that could then consistently pull your Ralts up in level so you could get across the line. You know, the thing that you said, and I quote, "There's lots of things that are wrong in Pokemon, but having this feature is not one of them."
At Sillage City, I changed my wardrobe to look like an absolute tool that just walked out of 1994 before heading to the game. In case you're wondering why I'm not touching on the character customization all that much, the truth is the offerings are pretty thin on the ground. There's only about 4 boutiques in the entire region, one you can't act.
You complained about it. So is it a problem or is it not? You complained about custom characterization for your hair and face and body and skin tone. But suddenly now, you have nothing to say about the fashion choice? But if it doesn't matter to you, why don't you just hack in new designs? It's like you hacked in everything else.
access right away, and they only sell a small number of items to start with. Actually getting anything is a pain in the ass, and that's not counting how much of a money sink most of it is. So unless you cheat, like I did, or are really dedicated on backtracking through most of the routes, you're...
What happened? We shut no bitch that up.
Small number of items to start with. Actually getting anything is a pain in the ass, and that's not counting how much of a money sink most of it is. So unless you cheat, like I did, or are really dedicated on...
Skip.
This was a battle of attrition. Again, the fights themselves aren't difficult, but the damage scaling is so high that you just get one-shot by a lot of different moves. I've been of the opinion for a while that Pokemon is way too
Build a better team! Stop using the same shit that's weak to it! Build a better team!
centered around one-shots. Between stat buffing moves increasing your stats by up to 4 times their regular amount, and super effective moves increasing that damage by another 400% at times, the game is too centered around sweeping. It's boring. It's boring when I'm sweeping, it's boring when I'm being swept. And it's not hard. This is why...
It's boring when I'm sweeping, but I hack the game so I sweep. It's boring when I get swept, but I won't build a team so I'm not getting swept. I'm bounced between two extremes. Maybe there's something I can do to be able to have a healthy medium. No, difficulty, guys. I'm gonna stop making that sound now because some of y'all nasty bastards out there are gonna do a remix.
My complaints that the EXP share ruins the difficulty just flat out don't work. The game isn't hard if the enemy just hits harder than your maximum HP, but it's easy to design. It's easy to make a game feel difficult if your HP just gets crunched from a single hit, and a lot of people will take that to mean that the game is hard. But my opponents aren't really doing anything smart. They just have inflated stats and use high power moves. Actually making the fights difficult, bringing the sheer amount of damage to a quarter of what it usually is, and making enemies play smarter takes more development time. And we all know how pathologically lazy Game Freak can be. That would...
What a stupid fucking argument to make. What a stupid fucking argument to make, especially considering the fact that that stupid little fucking argument is the backbone on why out of all the Mons trainers, like Monster Ranch, and Dragon Quest's Joker, and, more importantly, Digimon, and SMT, why SMT and Digimon are considered the better Mon trainer series. Half the difficulty is learning the system. Again, unless you're playing Digimon World 1, in which case you have to, you hate yourself and you like punishment. The entire point and purpose is to make you learn how to get over that hurdle. You meet the hurdle, get crushed. Ah, fuck, I gotta think about this again. Go back, practice, train up, probably get crushed again, but less so this time. Rinse, repeat until you succeed. Nothing you said was supposed to be an argument. It's not even the beginning of the argument. It's you just complaining about refusing to build a team again. Fucking useless person.
Would take time, and they want their money now. Delaying the game would make it better, but it would mean Satoshi Tajiri can't buy his 8th yacht, so one-shots it is. Fundamentally, Pokemon needs a math change. If you asked me to change one thing about Pokemon, I would change super effective moves so that instead of doing 200 or 400% regular damage, they do 125 to 150% of regular damage. That would fix so many problems and make so many strategies more viable. I'd also...
It really wouldn't. But, you know, I don't listen to the opinions of people who don't know how to balance because they don't know how to play. You can't give balance opinions. You cheat at Pokemon. You can't give balance opinions. You cheat at Pokemon!
Also change crits so that they don't ignore stat changes. That was always dumb. I head out of the city and into this weirdly ominous arrangement of stones and run into another member of Team Flare. And honestly, I find Team Flare kind of goofy. They're kind of like Team Plasma, but without the pretentiousness.
I've got a scram with style.
Absolute legend. I make it to Geosenge Town and immediately met with another member of Team Flare who rushes off into the distance. There he is! Let's get him! He ran off into a dead end and damn it, I want to beat up a twink! Whatever, I decided to move on, but I was immediately harassed by Skater Lady and her weird-ass Lucario, and she wants to battle. Once I beat her, she tells me to stop by her gym and say hello. What a weird running gag. Funnily enough, Geosenge Town is the second town I have completely run past and done nothing in. En route to the next town, which included the longest battle with a Solosis I have ever seen, I was called by Professor Sycamore. He tells me about a Mega Evolution guru in the next town. I'm starting to think maybe he's making this whole thing up. Nobody knows what Mega Evolution is, Sycamore. I proceed into Reflection Cave, which has these mirrored walls that means trainers can see you if you're behind them. Well, that's pretty cute. I like that. That's a fun dungeon gimmick. The dungeon is rather long, though, and I'm running into the same problem of just getting one-shot by everything. Making it to Shallor City, I ran into Trevor and Tierno, who are talking about the Mega Evolution guru. Guys, there is no guru. I'm telling you, they're a fraud. They suggest going to the Tower of Mastery, and when I try to walk off, Tierno gives me an intriguing stone. Is this a keystone? Inside the Tower of Mastery is a big statue of a Mega Lucario. Oh, I can already see where this is going. Inside the statue is the Mega Evolution Guru.
Oh, but Mega Evolution Guru isn't my real name, of course.
I'm shocked and appalled, sir, but I think I'll learn to trust again. Tierno and Trevor join me, and it turns out the intriguing stone is just a rock. Thanks for just giving me junk, Tierno. Outside, the guru explains that Mega Evolution allows Pokemon to harness all kinds of energy to grow even stronger past their final evolution form. It's a lot of drama for what is effectively warp digivolving, but whatever. He only has one Mega Stone to offer, so only one of us can get the cool new battle gimmick. I'll pass. Pokemon battling isn't really my scene. Tierno's got a good head on his shoulders. I like Tierno. Shauna and Trevor also pass, leaving just me and Caleb to fight for it. I win the fight, which was just another fight where the enemy takes too little damage and you take too much. I'm finding I'm drifting out a lot more playing this game. Wait, did I say that already? Like, I like it better than Generation 5, but at the same time, it's having a bit of a tranquilizing effect on me. Oh, right, now that I got it working, it's time to talk about Pokémon and Me, a feature of Generation 6 and 7, which probably goes alongside walking Pokemon as the single best idea Game Freak ever had. Pokémon and Me is pretty simple. You can pet and feed and play with your Pokemon. Are we all clear? In the pantheon of things Pokemon fans have wanted forever, the ideal Pokemon feature is for my tiny little gremlin baby to curl up in my lap and have a little sleep like an eldritch cat. So letting you pet and play with your Pokemon is fucking great. The game gives you an additional affection stat alongside it, which causes your Pokemon to throw off status effects and emote in battle, and that's also a really good addition. Every Pokemon has their own preferred food, games, and places they like to be petted. For instance, the Ralsline likes to be petted on the head. But don't touch the horn.
Don't ever touch the horn.
That's it. It's not a complex feature. You get to pet a butterfly. What's not to love? Look at her feet wiggle. Look how they wiggle. Oh, yeah, I can't actually do Mega Evolution until I go back to the gym. The gym is a fighting type gym, which means G's 4x resistance to fighting type attacks is going to come in very handy here. And she evolved on the gym trainers.
Weakness is past us. Now we're going to slaughter the region.
Making it to the center, I finally get to fight Karina and...
So now we have the answer to that. The weakness is when it's still a Ralts, not when it's a Waterfire. This is about to be a dumb joke about being cunty and slaying.
Shit, this music is kind of good. The fight was a no-brainer. G has a supreme advantage here, and now she's fully evolved, she's no longer crumbling from a single hit. Then Karina tells me I ought to go back up to the Tower of Mastery if I want the Mega Ring. I swear, I'm not giving you the runaround. Yeah, you are, Karina. Getting to the top, Karina gives me the Mega Ring, and Lucario, that's been sniffing me the entire game, wants to battle alongside me. Now that we finally have it, it's time to talk about Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution is activated once per battle to evolve a set number of Pokemon to a more advanced form. This increases their base stats by 100 points, sometimes gives new types, and sometimes gives new abilities. Mega Evolution was, in theory, a way to breathe new life into Pokemon that were largely relegated to the bottom tier, because apparently buffing their base stats just isn't on the table for some reason. So Pokemon like Kangaskhan, Pinsir, Aerodactyl, Ampharos, Heracross, Mawile, Medicham, Banette, and Abomasnow could get some buffs and provide new value into battle. It's a really good system in theory. Take the undervalued Pokemon and give them some juice. This is probably one of, if not the, best ideas they've ever had to breathe new life into the game. The problem is, unfortunately, Game Freak just gotta do a Game Freak and ruin it because they also gave them to the Kanto starters, Lucario, Garchomp, Gardevoir, several legendaries, Blaziken, and fucking Mewtwo.
How dare you give popular creatures fucking evolutions? Don't you understand that you're supposed to only feature the new line? Except before you complaining about not being able to access the old line, so now you're complaining about the new line and the old line because Game Freak's got a Game Freak. Shut your bitch ass up! Back and forth. Again! Contradicting yourself again! Fucking because reasons. I don't like it because reasons.
The last Pokemon to ever need buffs. And when you can only have one Mega Evolved Pokemon per team, you're probably going to use it to make a broken fan favorite even more broken.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Worse even, Charizard and Mewtwo got 2. And their Y forms really do feel like the versions that the developers wanted to make, and the X forms were thrown in for the sake of 22-year-old boys who haven't gotten past their must-be-badass phase. Why would you make a system designed specifically to breathe life into underused Pokemon, and then hand most of the Megas over to already overused Pokemon? Look, Gardevoir is my favorite Pokemon, but it didn't need any of the buffs it got in this gen, let alone Mega Evolution. Furthermore, the game hands you a free Mega Lucario unless you deliberately refuse to take it. So we're not 3 badges in, and I already have Mega Evolution, and we're the game.
Also, yet again, another case of Lily refusing the call and actively demanding to have player options and choices, and then complaining when they're given options and choices. It's not even worth writing down anymore. It's just getting annoying. It is annoying, actually. It has been annoying. It will continue to be annoying.
Properly, I would have had a Mega for a Kanto starter and a Mega Lucario. I can't help but feel that this is a touch broken, especially given that Mega Evolution is supposed to involve the bond with your Pokemon, and yet your first instance of using it is with a Pokemon you just got. This is only further compounded by the fact that Mega Evolution is fucking broken. 3 badges in, and I have a super powerful Pokemon capable of Mega Evolving. The entire game just got rendered embarrassingly easy. This game goes out of its way to destroy the difficulty at every turn. People blame the EXP share for that, but no, it's not the EXP share. It's the 2 starters you get at the beginning of the game. It's the Nidoking and Gardevoir and Ampharos and Doublade you can get before the 4th gym. It's the dual Mega Evolving Pokemon you get before the 4th gym. Fuck the EXP share. The EXP share did nothing wrong. You want a culprit? Look at Mega Lucario over here. Look, I'm just gonna put it out here. Mega Evolving should not require a stone.
Single player game, by the way. You're complaining about breaking status when you yourself were talking about having a broken crutch technique. But the game is broken and unbalanced in a single player concept. Struggling against machines, this character is. On number 54, they hacked the game and they're upset that the game is too easy because of it. No, number 4 is that they were upset that hacking the game had unforeseen consequences to their save file. They modified the hexadecimal code of the game, and they got mad that there was unforeseen consequences that affected the game file that they're currently playing.
It should require an actual representation of the bond with your Pokemon, like, oh, I'm just throwing it out here, the affection stat you introduced in this exact fucking game? I shouldn't need to...
What's that? You have complaints about how the system should work despite you actively besmirching that system at every result? Go fuck yourself. Yeah. No. Go fuck yourself. Every single time they try to get you to involve yourself with the system, you say, no, I won't do it. But when you have an opportunity to demonstrate exactly why that would be important, it's, no, this could have been done better.
Starters you get at the beginning of the game. It's the Nidoking and Gardevoir and Ampharos and Doublade you can get before the 4th gym. It's the dual Mega Evolving Pokemon you get before the 4th gym. Fuck the EXP share. The EXP share did nothing wrong. You want a culprit? Look at Mega Lucario over here. Look, I'm just gonna put it out here. Mega Evolving should not require a stone. It should require an actual representation of the bond with your Pokemon, like, oh, I'm just throwing it out here, the affection stat you introduced in this exact fucking game? I shouldn't need to give...
Or it could be based on the thing that Pokemon was always based off, which was a light difference between it and Digimon, which is that the Pokemon can choose to want to do it. The Lucario that wants to join your party the same way any Pokemon inside of the animes would want to join the party of the main protagonist. And yet, somehow, that didn't occur to you. That's not to say that making Mega Evolutions being tied to affection isn't accurate. It's the constant back and forth and wishy-washy opinions and criticisms of balance. And then having bad ideas about balance based on things that are just pedantic in a 6-hour and 24-minute review that doesn't have the ability to really hit on any of the problems, because when you had variety, you were mad you couldn't have the old. You were forced to take the new, or the choices that you were given were poor in your opinion. Now you're allowed to have options, and you're crying about it, which actually is worthy of writing down. Can't spell. That's not how you spell nauseum. Beep, 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 beep. It's way too fucking early in the morning for this shit. But oh well, I have time to burn.
Gee, a special rock for her to Mega Evolve. The fact that we're already BFFs should suffice. Mega Evolution is a fun mechanic, but it rock for her to Mega Evolve. The fact that we're already in this BFFs should suffice. I shouldn't need to give G a special rock for her to Mega Evolve. The fact that we're just in this.
There's text there. 1 second.
Zach.
Nope. Still goes by too fast. Fuck, I had it. So, we're just gonna go ahead and send that for the inability of being able to, just put this there on the screen and own to it. Acknowledging that they want to fuck their Pokemon. Ew. Let's ignore the obvious joke about giving a precious stone to signify a bond between a trainer and a Pokemon that can definitely not be taken as a very different way given the look of Mega Guardifire's gown as a wedding dress. Coward. 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 We might go all the way to the end of Gen 7 in Aloha. Hopefully by then. Well, actually, I don't know. I'll see how I feel at the end of Kalos section. Just, oh my god, fucking annoying. Just fucking annoying. Normal speed. Also, you're very lucky I'm playing this on normal speed. I may have to rewatch these streams that Aiden responding to, Carl. Is that with you, Carl? Is that with you, Carl, to reference any moments and reactions of your stream? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the reason I have a notepad full of my criticisms that actually has starting points and where I have to stop whenever I stop on a particular section for a stream is specifically so that people can follow along with why I have opinions and why and where those opinions came from. I'm only not going to unnecessary timestamps on all of these points because that'd take even longer.
For the fourth gym. It dual mega evolving Pokemon you get before Look at Mega Lucario over here. Look, I'm just gonna put it out here. Mega evolving should not require a stone. It should require an actual representation of the bond with your Pokemon. Like, oh, I'm just throwing it out here. The affection stat you introduced in this exact fucking game? I shouldn't need to give G a special rock for her to Mega Evolve. The fact that we're already BFFs should suffice. Mega Evolution is a fun mechanic, but it's hampered by Game Freak's usual bullshit. In spite of all of that, it was certainly popular. So popular, in fact, that Game Freak's been making cheap knockoffs of it ever since. In Cormarine City, I have a brief conversation with the professor and Diantha about the bonds of Mega Evolution, and then at the gym I run into Calum, who wants to battle me so he can see Mega Evolution for himself. I mean, if you insist, mate. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I actually did hack in a Gardevoir so that I could use Mega Evolution with the Pokemon I actually have and not have to carry around one that I fucking hate. The trade-off being that, well, I'm not using either of the other two I got. I don't really feel like this is cheating. It is kind of a lateral move. I mean, the only other...
It's cheating. You're cheating. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to justify cheating. You're cheating. Own it.
The option is to not use Mega Evolution at all, and, well, I needed footage to talk about it, so. After that, it's the gym. It's a grass type.
Ah, yes. The best reason.
Gym, which was mostly handled by Fletchinder and Amara until the leader's Go-Goat started breaking out the one-shot moves again. I'm not going to keep complaining about that. I'm just going to say I miss Gen 2 where I could get stuck in a Mind Reader hypnosis trap. After I have the fourth badge, Lysander of all people calls me.
Professor Sycamore told me you can now wield Mega Evolution. That is truly wonderful. With that power, you can steer your future in a better direction. We can't just cover up the old filth with new filth. I implore you to consider what we need to do to change the world into a new, beautiful world.
Well, that was a weird call. I am a child. Why are you asking me to change the world? I run into those kids again who give me another firmware update for my Pokedex. Why is there so much firmware? I'm then told about how the power outage in Lumio City means I can't use the gate to get back, so I should investigate the power station. Surprise, surprise, Team Flare is there. After I beat him, I get a clue as to how to progress.
This is stylishly bad. If someone found the power planet pass I dropped while I was fumbling around by the big rock, and then that hypothetical someone proceeded to the power plant just past here, that would be seriously, stylishly a hot mess.
I'm sure if we put our heads together, we can figure out this riddle. By the rock, I found a power plant pass. Interesting clue.
But what does it mean?
Oh, it opens the power plant. Bit anticlimactic, really. Inside the power plant, the place has been taken over by Team Flare. Once I circle around their grunts, I met with their lead scientist.
Allow me to introduce myself, intruder. My name is...
Aliana.
No, there's no way.
You're just a cheap imitation of the real thing.
As you can see, I'm one of Team Flare's scientists. I'm researching a certain something that you wouldn't understand anyway. Unfortunately for you, I've been charged with the simple task of your elimination.
Unfortunately for Aliana, that's gonna bother me the rest of the game. I'm not a rookie, and so she gets crushed. Upon returning to Lumio City, Shauna runs up to tell me that somebody managed to get the power back on.
I did that.
What? No way! You bitch! I fucking love this game. X and Y is a perfect game for this feature alone. Shauna wants to go see Prism Tower, but I decided to take a stop at the center first too. Where are you going? Oh, come on, you were doing so well. So at Shauna's behest, I head to Prism Tower, where I met 2 kids from the anime who light up the tower in the middle of the day. Now I have another great memory with you, bitch. Ah, Shauna, you are nothing but great memories. Lumio's Gym is a gym centered around trivia, where if you get the right answer, you still battle the trainer. That's weak. You had one job, Clement. The fight with Claymont was a lot easier because I have Mega Evolution now, and so the only real issue was Claymont dropping 4 Hyper Potions on 1 Pokemon. Then the professor calls, asking me to meet him at Lysander Cafe. Dude has his own cafe? Meeting them there, they talk more about Mega Evolution and how Lysander is apparently descended from royal blood. Then he talks about how people can be divided into groups of those who give and those who take. Oh no, he's evolved into Ayn Rand. He talks about an ultimate weapon that once washed away the filth of the world, which we now know to mean people. So we've gone from eco-terrorists to whatever the fuck Cyrus was on about to a fascist dictatorship to just flat-out genocide. What Lysander says is only one way of looking at things. It's not a way of looking at things, Professor! He wants to kill a whole bunch of people! How is that perspective? Stepping onto Route 14,
Eye roll.
which was very disorienting, might I add, I run into Trevor and Caleb, who wanted to check my decks and challenge me respectively. Then Shauna comes up wondering where Tierno was, and Trevor said he was at the fighting dojo. Wait, what? You were at the fighting dojo? I was having so much fun with a sparring dance. Oh, okay, I get it now. They all decide to go check out a haunted house, and then Shauna asks me why I'm traveling and confesses that she feels like she's wasting her life just goofing around. Oh, no, come on, Shauna, don't get angsty on me. Just kidding. Oh god, you nearly gave me a heart attack. We arrive at the spooky house to find that it's a shed. It's just a shed with some windows. Hey, wait a minute, didn't someone once say something about people going in her shed? We arrive inside the shed, only to find an old man who proceeds to tell us a scary story and then ask for a tip. Ah, it's the gig economy! Let's get out of here! Heading into Laver City, can you guess what the only thing to do is? That's right, it's the gym. This time, it's a posh mansion that specializes in fairy-type Pokemon, with a gym puzzle that's just Saffron Gym again, and the leader is a horrifying creature with pupils the size of dinner plates. This battle was actually fun. Not difficult, but Valerie's Mr. Mime brought out a Reflect, which means some AI was actually coded here. You see, I've always wanted to be a Pokemon. Oh no, she's a furry. I have to get out of here. I step outside and Shauna and Trevor rush up to tell me that I have to check out the Pokeball factory. Not sure what's so interesting about that, but after a quick stop to put on a raincoat, I head up there and, oh, well, I can see we're gonna have a good time.
I'm pretty sure there's lots of things that'd be fascinating about understanding the inner workings and mechanics of a Pokeball.
Time. The Team Flare guard chases off Shauna and Trevor, and Tierno goes off to help. Caleb suggests that I should check out what's going on inside while the guard is busy murdering my friends. Caleb's got his priorities straight. We get inside and, do you have to take a part-time job to pay for that ugly suit? Okay, Caleb's good too. I like Caleb. We're vibing, me and Caleb. At the back of the factory, I find the totally spies who try to fleece millions of dollars out of the foreman, but when he won't budge, suggests blowing the place to split. Whoa, what is it with you guys and murder? After beating the admin, Caleb runs in to help with a double battle. G is looking at you with trusting eyes. G, focus on the battle! After I beat them, I run off when the president offers me a choice between a Master Ball and a Big Nugget, so I choose the Big Nugget because I'm hungry, but he gives me both anyway. Okay, well, I didn't want the Master Ball, so I'm just gonna toss it. Getting out of Route 15, I was immediately ambushed by someone jumping out of a...
The more things change, the more they stay the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, unfortunately, it's not so much my plans than it was Star's plans. And then things working around the way. I still have time to do the rest of it with you. Because more than likely I'm going to stop at the end of Gen 6, and then we can do a refresher for the things that I got wrong, or things that you would want to mention about 5 and 6 next time. Because boy is this woman fucking annoying the piss out of me. It's like every single section is an hour fucking long. In some cases they literally are. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate you. No, more than just tomorrow night. At any point where you need to. Just let me know when you're available.
A pile of leaves. Don't sneak up on me like that. Sir, you jumped out of the fuck... I'm just gonna kick your ass. I guess you were the one surprised here. Oh, you think, Dean? I swear, some people will just do... And oh, fucking... Why are all the park rangers hiding in the leaves? Making it to Dendemil Town, I get accosted by Professor Sycamore, who tells me about the legend of Eviltall, the resident legendary Pokemon for this version. This Pokemon represents death. And I find a hex maniac who's selling healing items by the dozen. What a nice girl. Surely the internet will not be weird about you. Heading east, the route is blocked by snow. There's supposed to be a mammoth swine to give people rides, but he hasn't come down from the frost cavern. Heading north, I discover that he's worried about something in the cavern. So naturally, being the indentured servant of the linear plot, I mean the good Samaritan that I am, I go in to check. At the end of the cavern, I find Team Flare agitating an Abomasnow, claiming they're going to catch powerful Pokemon like it for their schemes. Powerful Pokemon, like Abomasnow. You not thought this through? Side note, isn't it weird they have animated battle models to every member of Team Flare, but none of the gym leaders? Anyway, I crushed them with the power of ballroom finery and they left. Trevor remarks that he thinks Team Flare is very frightening. Trevor, come on, have you seen them? Now that Mammoth Swine's gone back to the snowbank, I can get through to Anastar City. When I get there, Caleb wants to have a battle in front of the gym, a battle he loses. I step into the gym What the fuck? Oh, this is trippy. I think I'm getting vertigo. Oh, I don't like this. I really don't like this.
A ritual to decide your fate and future. The battle begins.
Not even an introduction, lady? Just right to it? I like you. The battle was a straight one-shot sweep because once again, Mega Evolution is broken. Then she just shuffles me on my way. Well, that was very brisk. Once I'm shuffled outside, Caleb just runs up asking for a rematch, but we're interrupted by Lysander calling us.
And all you have to say about what you just witnessed with the 3D engine was, whoa, vertigo. Ah! Two O's. God forbid you solve the world's problem as protagonist. Something ironic about really calling people on the internet weird, but she keeps making gay and sex jokes every few minutes. See, that's called not like us.
On the Holocaster to tell all trainers that Team Flare is going to revive the ultimate weapon and eliminate everyone who isn't in Team Flare to return the world to a beautiful natural state.
Unproductive fools are consuming our future.
Yeah, I remember when my dad...
I feel like it's time to start fast forwarding. Simply because once we get to the end of this section, I'm going to stop the stream.
was complaining about welfare queens and concluded the only solution was mass genocide. Oh wait, no I don't, because nobody fucking says that, Lysander Hall. This dude's off his fucking meds. Halen suggests we head back to Lumio City, so I get to use Fly for the first time in the game. In Lumio City, we have to find Team Flare's hideout. Where could it be? Obviously in Lysander Cafe. Gabby, take me to a dangerous death cult's hideout. Today's special is Scramble. If you don't get out of here now, nail it on the first try. At this rate, you'll figure out there's a hidden door to Lysander Labs. Oh thanks, lady, you're terrible at your job. Ah, it's fine, they don't pay you enough. I find the hidden door and descend into the labs where Lysander is waiting to greet me and tells me only the chosen will make it to tomorrow. Then he wants to fight. In all honesty, Lysander isn't the worst villain. I mean, he's clearly the most lazily written, but I don't object to that. Everything in this game is brisk and to the point. The sheer amount of dialogue that was seen in previous two generations is just not there. Lysander shows up, says, hey, we have a weapon of mass destruction. I'm gonna fucking use it. See, and this guy hasn't even been raised from birth to be part of the revolution, and he did a better job than you've ever done. Lysander says, I want to murder the world.
Squeeze me?
Weapon of mass destruction. I'm gonna fucking use it. See, and this guy hasn't even been raised from birth to be part of the revolution, and he did a better job than you've ever done. Lysander says, I want to murder the world.
One more time.
We have a weapon of mass destruction. I'm gonna fucking use it. See, and this guy hasn't even been raised from birth to be part of the revolution, and he did a better job than you've ever done. Lysander.
Spent all of Gen 5 shitting on N, and then tries to glaze N to shit on Lysander. How the fuck do you get off shitting on him and the entire generation, and then saying, "Well, see, he didn't do that bad. He wasn't that bad. He did this better." You literally said that the villain should fucking rail into N. You unironically wanted him to feel bad because he was having mean words said to him by the man who's responsible for grooming him for that personality and that worldview. But now, all of a sudden, once again, Willie Orchard needs to shut the fuck up.
Lysander says, I want to murder the world, gun, Lego, bam. None of this lounging about his castle, waiting for the hero to show up so he can try out his new speech about ideals. Lysander is one note, but he's a charming one note. I eventually got the elevator key and got down to the second basement to find that Lysander is capturing the really tall guy from earlier. The tall guy tells me about a Pokemon he loves very much, I can relate, but who died in a big Pokemon war. So in order to bring his Floette back to life, he built a big machine that sucked the souls out of other Pokemon to resurrect it. As you do, grief naturally leads to necromancy, but then he was still very mad, and so he turned the machine into a weapon and committed genocide. But his precious Floette knew how many people he killed, and left because he was putting off some bad vibes.
Do you want to know unending pain? Like I have?
Sir, please calm down, you are an actual war criminal. Lysander then tells me to follow him to his chambers. Sir, this is very inappropriate, I am only 10. Lily, why do you always assume that? It's an anime game, guys. I go to his chambers to get challenged by a pasty man who looks like he hasn't been outside in years. Ah, you designed the women's uniforms, didn't you? After I beat him, he tells me to push either the red or blue button, saying one of them will activate the ultimate weapon, but I don't know which one. What is this, fucking Sophie's Choice? I didn't sign up to play one of Jigsaw's games. So I pushed the red button, but that activated the weapon. Well, I guess I'm a war criminal now. It's okay, I can fix this. I just need to Google how to conquer death. Okay, it says here I need an inanimate object and someone I won't miss. After one stop at the center to change into my ass-kicking outfit, we're ready to stop a genocide before it happens. Arriving in Geosenge Town, I find that one grunt from the first time I was here. Now I'm back, stronger and more fabulous than before. The grunt is unable to handle the sheer pink deliciousness of me and flees into the base. Caleb joins me. Caleb, you are not dressed for saving the world. Team players' whole thing is style. We have to intimidate them, go put on a pink ballroom gown and take this seriously.
Even though resources on this planet are limited, the number of people and Pokemon has increased to an unsustainable level. Oh god, it's anime Thanos. That's the worst Thanos.
He talks about how in his new world, Pokemon will no longer exist because they will inevitably become too— Oh, that's it. Nobody threatens the celery friend. I'm getting me mallet. After I kill him with multiple one-shots because celery friend is not fucking around, he says it's too late and there's no hope and to go down and see for myself. I get what Lysander is trying to say. Oh, do you? Because I just heard nonsense. Shut the fuck up, Caleb. You don't get to speak until you put on the ball gown. As we get deeper in, Shauna shows up. Shauna, this is really a main characters only kind of thing. I'm sorry. I know I'll slow you down, but friends should stick together. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't consider your feelings. Guys, we're on a timer here. We reached the bottom, but it's locked. Luckily, Shauna recently learned how to pick an electric block. That was convenient. How much do you know, Shauna? Shauna's secretly team player, but had a change of heart. Clement was the one that made it, but you brought it here, so I guess you're both pretty great. Damn, Caleb, that's one backhanded remark. You're cold. Why are you so mean to Shauna? You know what? You stay out here. Shauna can come with me. Turns out there are a dozen team player admins inside the chamber, and I have to fight them all one at a time. They only have one or two Pokemon apiece, so it's not that big a deal, but still, after that, Evil Tall finally hatches from his cocoon, ready to siphon the souls of the living and usher in a new age of death and entropy. And I killed it in one hit with my pet ballerina. Evil Tall is looking at Lily. It seems like it wants to help. Oh, come on. It was so cool when I one-shot you with the power of celery. I hate mandatory legendary catchers so much. Fine, you picky asshole. Just for annoying me, I'm gonna call you YMCA. Then Lysander comes in. What the fuck are you wearing? What the hell is that? What Google Glass reject have you got on your face? Whatever, me and G will kick your ass in all our finery, which involved a series of one-shots followed by two-shotting Mega Gyarados. Why are you sighing with relief? This was not difficult. Lysander screams. Know what I think? I think even if there's only a little bit of something, it's still best to share it. Shauna, what are you doing? Caleb, what are you doing? Why are you trying to reason with a lunatic? Lysander is ultimately not convinced and tries to activate the weapon with what little power it has anyway, which blows up the inner chamber, I guess, burying Lysander under a pile of rubble. All my friends react to this shocking news with, well, that happened, let's get back to our game. AZ comes by and laments about his Floette, who I'm starting to think he has romantic feelings for. Nobody talks about a Pokemon this way. It's just weird. You're so attached to one Pokemon that you're lamenting not being able to take it everywhere. Imagine if someone went to these kind of lengths to keep the same Pokemon for this long. You look at them like they were a raving lunatic. You have them brought in for a mental health evaluation before they could start their rant about the Harkness test. Right, G? G, why are you looking at me like that? I'd say that the story with Team Flare is abrupt, very—
That's not funny.
quick and ends quickly, but on reflection, it's about the same as Team Rocket in Generation 2 and Team Aqua and Magma in Gen 3. It only feels short and brief because Generation 4 and 5 were unnecessarily verbose with their stories. Those things were packed to the gills with dialogue. Unnecessary dialogue. And we're about to get to the very worst offender in that regard very soon. The Team Flare story is fine. I'm probably a lot kinder to it because unlike a lot of Gen 6 detractors, I don't think Black and White and Team Plasma was some turning point of quality for the series. The less like this Pokemon games are, the better. Returning to Anastar City, Sycamore asked to meet me in Corway Town. Well, that was the next town on the map, so lucky me. When I get there, he apologizes to me about Lysander and the trouble he caused and thanks me for saving the world. Oh, it was no big deal, Professor. I eat maniacs like Lysander for breakfast. Then he talks about how perhaps one day the population will increase to the point of resources becoming scarce, but talks about how if people keep acting with greed, then things will inevitably become catastrophic. Why? There won't even be anything left to steal, will there? This conversation is weirdly philosophical, but in an actually interesting way. It's almost a critique of capitalism, but more so the underlying greed with which capitalism operates. I kind of like it. It's not some megalomaniac giving a big speech before the end of the world. It's just the professor thinking a few things over. He doesn't really have an answer. He's just been left to think about a few things. Like, if Pokemon wants to do philosophy, which it clearly does, it should do it like this. No big grand anime villain speeches. Let's just sit down and think about things for a bit. Imagine how much better Black and White would be if instead of the king of Team Plasma, and was just some guy who you spend one scene with on a bench and he asks you about what Team Plasma is saying regarding the ethics of Pokemon battling, and you get to pick a response, and both responses are variations of I don't know. I feel the grand high stakes are what really ruins the times Pokemon gets weirdly profound, and I think this might actually be my favorite moment of a Pokemon game. Then he wants to battle me, and during this battle, I just found out if you tap the touchscreen after you knock out a Pokemon, you will give your Pokemon a little pat for doing a good job. Oh, this is the best thing ever. On the way to the next city, Shauna stops me on a rope bridge. Really bad place to stop, Shauna. Then she wants to have a battle. Shauna, this isn't stable. I win, but this was a very bad idea. Then Tierno and Trevor come up on and have a battle. Why does everyone want to battle on the rickety bridge? Afterwards, Shauna reflects on all the friends she's made and all the wonderful memories she's had, and the adventures she's gotten to go on. I quite like this moment too. Again, it's very brief, but it captures the vibe of Pokemon perfectly. I'll be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised that Junichi Masuda managed to work these things in. Pokemon has lost the plot for so long that I honestly thought my own positive feelings on this game were misremembered. The gym leader in Steel Bell City has gone off to the woods, so I follow after him to find him in the village of Pokemon who escaped from abusive trainers. Okay, either that green-haired twat is here or Mewtwo is here. But it turns out the Pokemon trust me because I'm one of the good ones because G won't stop affectionately biting me. Heading back to Steel Bell City, I take on Final Gym and Ice Gym, whose only strategy is to try and one-shot me. Because Mega Evolution is broken, that shit don't work anymore. Making it to Victory Road, I get my badges checked, and the guard wants to fight. Why does everyone want to fight? When I get far enough in, Caleb approaches to tell me that nobody was right in the whole Team Flare fiasco. They were going to do a genocide, Caleb. Who let Rebecca Sugar into the move? Maybe if both sides have something to say, it's best to meet halfway. What's the halfway point between genocide and no genocide, Caleb? Wait, what are you doing with those 6 evolution stones? He challenges me to another battle, and this time I feel it's important to beat him because he's clearly a murderous psychopath, so I crush his Pokemon and put his villain arc in the dirt before it can begin. It's hard to put a finger on where, but I think you and I are alike. We are not. I didn't say the genocidal lunatic had a point, Caleb. Just like the last time, you get to challenge the Elite Four in whatever order you want. The first one I challenged was Wickstrom, the Steel guy. He was an interesting challenge. Again, something of a damage dope, but at least I wasn't constantly healing. Next up was Malva, who was a damage dope. Oh yeah, I just called the one-shot guys damage dopes now. Next up is Drozna, the Dragon Master, who went down to multiple Moonblasts. Thank you, move reminder. Last up is Cybolt, who is a master of water-type Pokemon and who all went down to Thunderbolts. Finally, we come to the champion, Diantha. My favorite champion, tied with Iris. Part of why I like her, aside from the shared taste and cheap bullshit, is that she's not as omnipresent in the story. Champions have started hogging screen time lately, and they end up wearing out their welcome before I even get to the fight. This was most egregious with Generation 4, where Cynthia will not leave me alone and keep sending me on fetch quests and yammering on and on about philosophy. And by the time I reach her boss fight, I'm already sick of her. So she's an irritating character who represents everything I hate about modern Pokemon, and she's a pushover who falls over very easily. Granted, Diantha ends up being a pushover as well, but that's largely due to multiple affection crits as opposed to just being able to straight sweep like the last 2 generations. Now, Goodra was a bit of a bitch because I was running low on power points and Diantha came stocked with an army of full restores. I don't necessarily mind the opponent healing, I just don't think they should have 4 items they dump onto one Pokemon. So since Diantha was playing cheap, I decided to play cheap too and stack those calm mines. I was gonna need them to tank the last one Shadow Ball anyway. This sadly meant that her Gardevoir went down to a single Thunderbolt. Shame. I was hoping for a real Banshee brawl there. Then I get registered into the Hall of Fame, and that's Generation 6. Oh wait, we're not actually done yet. I'm walking up to a podium followed by animated gifs of the other characters to be given a medal for saving the world from Team Flare. It's like if Star Wars was an anime. Then AZ walks up and demands that I battle with him. Another battle. This game is over. I already did the Hall of Fame. That's where it ends. You went back on the deal. This battle has no music and AZ.
No. As everyone knows, this is where the branching timelines of Pokemon happen. because the machine is responsible for splitting the space-time continuum apart. You are complaining about content again. Again. I'm leaving his name in as the man. Fucking ass. Hey, Yor.
He only has 3 Pokemon. I have no idea what happens if you somehow manage to lose to him, but AC smiles when the battle ends and says he finally feels free from the sorrow of committing large-scale genocide. Now that he's not sad anymore, his precious Floette returns. He breaks down into tears while I continue giving them the 1,000-yard stare, and then the game ends with the fletchling that woke me up bidding me a farewell. And that is Generation 6. Right? Nothing else? Sycamore doesn't want to battle? Trevor doesn't? Caleb doesn't want to talk about how maybe a little genocide could be good? No? We're good? Okay, we're good. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I always liked Gen 6, but I'll admit I got wrapped up in the discourse about it being one of the worst Pokemon games because... Actually, wait, why do people hate these games again? Oh, right, because the villains are normal and the game is still as easy as they've always been. Sure, the story is pretty subpar, but, I mean, compared to a lot of other games, it's practically a breath of fresh air. Lysander is absolutely off his tits, but every Pokemon villain is off their tits in some way. I mean, is a megalomaniac committing genocide against the world in the name of beauty and misanthropy really all that different from the guy who wants to make a volcano explode to expand the land, forgetting the fact that it kills a lot of people? I guess the reception of Gen 6's story depends on your opinion of Generation 5. If you're someone who thought Gen 5 had a deep, complex narrative that asked tough moral questions, yeah, this will probably feel like a huge step backward. However, people who aren't crazy will recognize that the stories are pretty much the same, just without the melodrama. Granted, this game...
People who aren't crazy
came out in the midst of a paradigm shift where the terminally online take from a lot of people was that villains have to be complex and sympathetic. A notion that has been falling away in the wake of that trope's failure upon failure upon failure upon failure. So when the main villain of a Pokemon game is like,
You spend the most time with villains and rivals. The villain and rival in a story, assuming that it is not using the place example of Pokemon, is that those champions and rivals are going to clash with the character and develop the character's arc as well as their own personal arcs to where you finally are able to have the conclusion and the catharsis of fighting them. That's why every kids show, when it makes a fucking antagonist, always has to be so much clear time finding ways to make the antagonist likable or relatable. Because making them unlikable and unrelatable means that there's literally no reason to care about what the faction says, and you might as well have vignettes about how the elite characters of the main faction do things on a day-to-day basis. Those who notice that I might be describing something that would be more akin in Power Rangers or fucking Kamen Rider, as well as in fucking storylines with shit like Steven Universe, which is ironic considering that this is the woman who's known for having bad takes about Steven Universe. When the villain has a bad philosophy and bad arguments, yes, it will be pedantic and annoying. But you know what's also annoying? A person trying to recount to you the story of the game who actively skips through and cheats through the game's dialogue and functions. In your desire you try to glaze this villain, and then you try to insult him and glaze in. When in Gen 5, you glazed that villain and shit on N's character arc. You didn't take any time to learn about him, so how do you know anything about what he thinks? You're just reacting to surface level shit that he says. You're not really interpolating the concepts, or interpolating the arguments, or the story that is being said there. You don't care, either, because you're not actually going to debate about it. But the constant back and forth, I don't trust you to be able to summarize what he thinks or believes. Even if you did, it would be poor, because every single time you talk about him, you keep calling him a misogynist, an incel, a creeper, a stalker, a serial spree killer.
going to blow up the world. And you go, why? And he goes, because you're fucking ugly. It's practically refreshing. And given the fact that Pokemon is a franchise for children, I think it should have more goofy ass stories like this. That's just the Saturday morning cartoon silliness in action.
I'm going to blow up the world because I don't have purple socks. If you want to stop me, you better beat me at this card game.
The next villain should be driven to evil by an inability to successfully hunt a shiny, and in this game, you and only you have extremely high shiny odds, and it drives him fucking insane. Furthermore, it's interesting just how many beloved features came out in this generation. Mega Evolution, Pokemon ME, Super Training, which I forgot to mention, and made EV training something that was actually feasible for the average person. The player search system, to this day, the best method of connecting with people online, and character customization. Granted, Gen 7 did that one better, but still, the sheer amount of stuff added with these games is borderline absurd, especially Mega Evolution. A feature so beloved, Game Freak has been making copies of it so they can advertise it as a new feature every generation since. These are not bad games. I'd say they're pretty damn good. It's not a very deep game, but it never needed to be. Sometimes it's fun to splash in a puddle. I'd say this is the perfect place to start with Pokemon if you don't want to start with a Game Boy game from 1996. It's just damn fun. It's the one Pokemon game since Gen 4 to remember that brevity is the soul of wit, and for that it deserves a fucking prize.
Okay. 3:24:35. Gen 6 is good because it didn't take up too much time. While you still cheat through it. It didn't take up a lot of your time, but you still complained about many things inside of it because you're still cheating through it. Okay. Other than the hypocritical shit that we've learned, and again, the sheer committal to cheating, which is supposed to be that's what I'm looking for. Not impressive. Endearing. Consistent. Once again, she does not get Pokemon. Titular in this section is the unwillingness to create a balanced team, and then getting mad about the clash out that happens because they did not balance for the challenge that they'd be facing. To the point of now making up a word to describe that damage washing that she dislikes. If any of the other sections have been illuminating about those opinions thus far, I have to assume, as we continue forward into the more modern generations, she's going to backtrack on those opinions again. And she's going to look for a way to be annoyed about them. I have a hard cap about it, but we'll find out next time, and horror will be there on whatever day that happens to fall on. This fucking shit gave me a headache again, but it's okay because I do it for you. Feel free to make whatever edits you want about the content, guys. Certainly, my antics will be more humorous and entertaining than whatever the fuck you'll find in here. I will see you all later when I go back live to go play the new Settlers event. Wave bye-bye, chat. Wave bye-bye.